Oh,
Damn,
he's muted.
unluck.
I was one thing. Okay, I'm like so sad, and maybe Axu, maybe I don't know if there's a way to edit this to the front of the video because I was supposed to say this at the front, and I totally forgot. I want to mention that the siege clips that are playing in the background. That's me. Uh, I'm very curious. And maybe you're curious about this too. Like, how many viewers treat this as a podcast where they don't watch what's going on, or do you sometimes watch what's going on in the background? Because the keen-eyed King's Court patrons will have noticed that in the last video with Andre, that was also those were siege clips that involved myself. They were all recorded from my own perspective, and in some number of games, you will also see Toron in there. So those are some familiar names that some of you may recognize. So I'm hoping that the siege clips are definitely they're going to be there for this one because this one's me. I'm going to have some gameplay in the background, and it's definitely something that want to give a little shout out to.
100%. I have zero idea. Does anybody actually watch those though?
Yeah, let us know. Let us know. I want to know in the comments. I want to know in the comments if you watched the video of the King's Court with Andre, the previous one that was posted. Who noticed that those videos was me? Because you'll see, like, whenever I open up like the player list, like whenever I open up the stats page, whenever I get a kill, whenever I get killed, you'll see Sokka 234 in the kill feed. And you'll see my name in there, and you'll sometimes, not in all of the games, but Toron is in some of those games as well. So I want to know who noticed that, if anybody did.
You are listening to King's Court Podcast.
I'm not gonna say anything until you
bring you in. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
All right, everyone. Another episode of the King's Court Podcast. In this corner, we have me, Brandon, the King. And in the other corner, we have...
Aksu, the biggest Scorpios hater on the planet. Like, this shit needs to go.
Listen, your format barely exists. I don't know what you're going on.
It would be much better
Scorps
if we
was
of that shit.
Scorps was perfect for what it was in Standard, and it seems like it's doing the perfect job in Eternal, which is anti-meta. Hype.
No, it's just the meta right now. Fuck Scorp. That's my only take.
Yo, hashtag Scorp, we love you. Keep doing what you're doing. Fuck up stupid combo decks. Send everything to the Shadow Realm. Hallelujah. All that good stuff. Well, can you tell before we bring on our guest, can you tell the fans what you're drinking?
So it's like raspberry Fanta. That's 0 sugar.
Zero
sugar.
Why are you drinking it then?
Because aspartame is peak.
Listen.
The fuck you mean? It's like sugar in soda. It's like whack as hell.
Like...
No, fuck off. This shit is peak. Like, why the fuck would you have sugar in liquid drinks? Like, it tastes literally the same, but it just has like random ass calories. And I'm already fat. I don't need to get fatter anymore.
Okay. Listen, I understand wanting to be like me, but not this way, dog.
It doesn't do anything to my eyes.
It sure does.
No,
okay.
That's cap. I live in the EU. We have like food safety regulations, and
oh yeah,
yeah, they would not sell it if it actually was poisonous or something.
Is that what you believe?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, today we have a very, very special guest. I know they say that a lot. They're all very special. And it's crazy. Like the how long we've been doing this and like how many guests we've been able to get on, but I feel like we're really, really on a roll right now, and it's really hype. I got a 2-time world champion here for you. You know what I mean? Like, I brought in the big guns.
Yo, Dan Dargenio on the podcast?
No, No. More modern. Okay.
Zomstrafts next year.
Anyways, great player, great streamer, great student of the game, excellent, nice, but evil human being. We got Sokka 234 in the building. Let's go.
Hey, hello. I have so much to say about that introduction. Well, first of all, if Aktu didn't say anything, I was totally gonna say, "Hey, what's up? It's Dan Darjanio."
Stealing jokes already.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a pick 6.
And the other thing is like, man, I don't feel like my streamer reputation is going way down the last couple of years.
Nah. Who streams their tournament live? Like, that's fucking hot.
I mean, yeah, like
Sokka
I've been
doesn't do that shit
streaming. Like,
anymore.
listen, I've been streaming my tournaments, but like I feel like just like streaming outside of tournaments, I've been really bad at doing.
Yeah, you're like a lawyer. You're busy. You're allowed to lack here.
I just feel bad. I feel like people expect to see more streams, and I kind of been promising more streams here and there, and I just have not been able to deliver.
Maybe we need to do one together to reinvigorate.
Yeah.
Because the Soccer King streams are woo. Those are some streams.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, we gotta figure that out. Maybe there's a Christmas edition or something.
Ooh.
You said it on the broadcast, so now you have to do it.
See, that's the thing. Like, we're just like setting up more promises, and if we don't end up doing this, now I'm gonna feel even worse.
No. See, this is your problem. Okay, here. Rule number 1 to this whole thing: don't ever use the word promise. Okay, you can't break anything you don't just don't use that word. Right? This is all humming, hawing, speculation, potential, nothing concrete. Don't ever use concrete. Okay, it's all turf and grass.
Okay,
That's
relationship advice with Brandon.
So there will be an alleged Brandon Sokka stream at some point.
Well, we don't like a lot of grass, but that's all different. All right, Sokka, we're gonna take it back to the beginning.
Yes.
How you got started, why you started, where you started, all that good stuff. It's all you.
Right. Okay, so I did think about this. There's a couple things that make my story particularly unique and different. Because here's the thing, like I think everything that I say like gets underscored by the fact that I was 14 years old.
Good to know.
Okay, so
Damn, a real zoomer.
I'm thinking about this. So I started in grade 8, at the end of grade 8, right? I was 14 years old. My age is the year, so it was 2014. I was taught in the summer. I was taught by Thomas, who has been mentioned a couple times in many different ways on my streams, and whenever we see him, he still shows up sometimes and plays Eternal off meta events. So particularly, in the October to December months, and it goes by TSG Star Wars, and he's got like a Jedi Star Warsy picture, and he taught me the game. He's got like a bunch of board games at home, and he would like go to the local board game store with his mom, and like they would hang out there and play games, and that's how he learned that Netrunner existed. And I started hanging out with him. We just like in the summer of 2014, I would like go to his house and he would like teach me this game. And again, like I was 14. I had not played card games, not played board games really. Like you guys are all like, I came from Yu-Gi-Oh, I came from Magic, I came from this. Like I played a little bit of Hearthstone, and that was it. Like I had started playing Hearthstone maybe like 2 to 3 months before starting Netrunner. So I was brand new to card games. And he shows me this game, and I'm just like, the thing is, a lot of people when they learn a new game, they're learning the game and they're like, do I like it or do I not? Like they're trying to like figure out the aspects of the game that they like and what makes them like a game. And I was just happy to do this thing with my friend. Like, it could have been anything. I wasn't thinking about whether I liked the game or not. Like, I was just like, "This is a thing that we're doing now." Um, so I didn't think about the game in terms of, like, the flavor of the game, like, how do I like the mechanics? Do I like how the interaction is? Like, none of those thoughts were in my head. Like, I was a small kid learning these rules and
Mm.
learning how these cards work. Um, a lot of the things that I did learning the game was actually contrary to what like I would tell people who are trying to learn the game. For example, I played Runner probably 3 months exclusively, didn't touch Corp, and I only started learning Corp like 3 months after learning Runner. Whereas like most
Mm.
people tell you you should learn Corp first because that's where all the hidden information is, and it's like a little bit easier to understand the game. But again, I wasn't playing to understand the game. I was just there having a good time. So I just played Runner for a longest time. I didn't know how to exist without installing a magnum opus. So in my head, there was just like you start the game and you try to install magnum opus. And then once you have magnum opus installed, then the rest of the game begins. So that was that. And then later it turned into Katie Jones. And that was you had to have Katie Jones, and then your
Uh-huh.
money came in groups of 12 to 15 every 4 to 5 turns. That's how you made money as the runner.
Mhm.
And again, I didn't play Corp, so the game was very simple. Yeah.
How long would you say this magnum opus, Kate Jones, Runner,
Oh,
playing Corp, like to be with your friends, sort of thing, like lasted?
oh, probably like 14 months, like a year and 2 months.
Damn.
Um, because the way that this worked, okay, and this is also important for a later part of the story.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a junior high student. I'm 14, right? So like I don't have my own money. Like everything that I get has to be like I gotta ask my mom for it,
Mhm.
right? So and at the time it's like okay, you gotta buy the core set and you gotta buy the spin cycle. And Lunar was like just completing. So like there's
Mm.
all the spin cycle packs and Lunar, there's like the last pack of Lunar is just coming out. And Thomas already had all of that. Okay. And I'm like, I'm just learning to play this game. I'm totally broke. Like I had to ask for money to buy muffins at a bake sale, and sometimes I wouldn't get it. So good luck asking for Netrunner cards.
Yo, shout
And
out to Ma.
Mm.
so like so what Thomas and I did was like we're just gonna but the thing is like it wasn't again the way that I was playing like it wasn't important for us to have all the cards like we were just
Yeah.
like we'll play with whatever cards we had. So my whole experience was very I don't know like I don't know what the word is, primitive, I guess. Primitive is the word that comes to mind because we didn't use any technology. The way we built decks was we looked at the cards that we had and we built decks from the cards that we had physically. We didn't use NetRunnerDB. At least I didn't. I think maybe he did. But the way that I built decks was like I would take the cards out of the collection. They were like all the cards were sorted by faction in sandwich bags. So you'd have to take the cards out of the sandwich bags, flip through them with your thumbs, and like find the cards that you want. And when I say find the cards that you want, I'm literally looking at the cards one by one and being like, do I want this card in my deck? Um, but that was like way later. Like I wasn't really building decks until maybe like, I don't know, 3, 4 months in. Once I like developed that interest, because I was just like hitting Magnum Opus and Katie Jones for the first couple months. And then yeah, so I would play with him. I'd play with some of our other friends in the same school, just like go to each other's house after school kind of thing. We shared a collection moving forward. So we decided that like between the friends, there was like three of us,
Mhm.
although the third person wasn't too involved. And we would just be like, okay, like when the next data pack comes out, we're gonna be like, okay, like who's gonna buy it? And when we say who's gonna buy it, we mean whose parent is gonna let them buy it. Um, and we would just make sure that well, we would try to have a full collection between the three of us. Um, so that's what we did. And then I think like maybe 4 or 5 months into us playing, like, once the school year kind of started, we discovered that there was a group in Edmonton who played, and they met up every Wednesday at Tabletop Cafe. So we would show up and we would go to local meetups and we would play these jank decks that we made. And I didn't pay attention at all to what competitive or organized play Netrunner was like. Like I had no idea what it was like. I wouldn't even say I didn't have an interest in what it was like. I just like it was just it was just not a thought that crossed my mind. Okay. So I don't know what decks exist out there. One thing that people will often like find out about me is that I played during the time of like Astro and like non-unique Astro script and NEH Butcher Shop, and I didn't play that at all. Like it was well during my time, but like people would show up at weekly meetups playing it, and I would look at it and I'd be like, okay, like I gotta like it was just another deck that I had to figure out, but like it wasn't something that I actually tried to play. That's where we're at. Oh yeah, okay. And then basically, like after about a year, we moved on to high school, right? And we went to different schools. Going to different schools, like Thomas went to a much more like academically vigorous school than I did, which may have contributed to the fact that he just didn't have as much time as me. I was the one who like kept playing, and the other friends kind of dropped out. Like they kind of stopped playing, and eventually, I think the around the time of like the Mumbad cycle, which is a triggering phrase to a lot of people. Um, around the time of the Mumbad cycle was when I was the one who was buying all the stuff because I've been playing enough that like you know $20 a month I could convince my mom to fund that. Um, so I'm like I think from the Mumbad cycle onwards I had everything, but I didn't have things prior to that. Like San I had like every second pack, and then like prior to San, or wait, it was Mumbad and then San.
No,
Which one was
Mumbai
what was
is
the
the
order?
Flashpoint, I think.
Oh, right, yes. Point and then Mumbad and then San.
No, Sansan was before Mumbai even.
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Sansan,
Oh,
Mumbai,
okay.
Flashpoint.
Whatever the timeline.
Yeah.
San, Mumbad. Oh, okay. Then I guess, yeah, then I think it was around Mumbad that I had like I was starting to buy everything. And I think it was Flashpoint where I had every second pack. And yeah, so I didn't have a full collection. And I was still going to local meetups and like showing up to tournaments here and there because there was like a decent scene in Edmonton. But I would like sometimes have to like go to Thomas's house to borrow cards. And he would sometimes come too. But like it was more like we met up less on our own, and I was just like going out to local events. But I was like very much playing within Edmonton, right? And then I started winning tournaments. And this was my first tournament win was 2015, was like fall of 2015. I want to say November 2015. So I had been playing for like a year and 4 months, 4 or 5 months, 5 months. Yeah, I'd been playing for a year and 5 months. It was my first tournament win. And I think up to then, like I had played in like maybe 2 or 3 tournaments, and I'm just not making the cut, or I'm just like kind of in the middle. And then this tournament I played a Building a Better World deck that just jammed all the kill in there. So it was playing all 5 3s, and it was playing 3 punitive, threes, like 2 sea swords, 3 scorch. And my runner deck was a Reina deck, and most people will know it as Headlock Reina. But that was basically what it was. Like I was playing like Deja Vu and Parasite Data Sucker, and just like very aggressive cards. I don't remember Lamprey or not, which is the key card in Headlock Reina. But again, like I'm referencing these commonly known deck names, but I'm trying to explain like these decks are decks that I just came up with on my own. I would like see other people play them in person, whether that's at a local meetup or at a local tournament, and then maybe I would like collect ideas that way. But I did not look at like I didn't know who the good players were internationally, stuff like that. So like something I looked at all. But then basically from that tournament onwards, like November 2015, then I started consistently winning the tournaments in Edmonton. So I won that one, and then I won the next one. The next one had like 50 or 60 people. That was like the biggest tournament in Edmonton and then like after that tournament in January 2016, a lot of people in the area, like, they either moved away or they had kids or whatever, so they like stopped playing. And then the Edmonton meta kind of dipped down to about like 10 to 15 people, maybe around 10. But yeah, so but I think like from then on, I started doing well. I mostly played Kill Wayland decks, so it was just like adaptations of Kill Wayland. I played a lot of prepaid Kate in 2016, which is not like the typical prepaid Kate era. So I played prepaid Kate with Deuces Wild, and it was unusual. But anyways, yeah. So that's when I started doing well locally in 2019. So that's like 3 years now of me just like playing locally. But in those 3 years, I started paying attention to more to to world streams and stuff like that. But it wasn't something that I like watched religiously. Like it was just like something that if it happened, like if I happened to see it, then I was kind of interested and I was kind of like look at standings here and there. But I didn't really like have like a comprehensive understanding of it all.
Mm.
And then 2019 was like a key year because in 2019, like NSG had taken over,
Yeah.
which meant that Canadian Nationals wasn't always in Toronto. So Edmonton had made an application for Canadian Nationals, and then we got it. So that was like huge because it was local.
Mhm.
And again, like remember, at that time I'm 19 and I'm like just into university, like in my second year of university. Like
Mm.
there was no world where I could travel for an event. Like Edmonton's very isolated. Like most of Canada, most of Western Canada is very isolated, right? For me to go somewhere, I have to take a flight. And sometimes we could drive to Calgary, but that's also like a 3-hour drive. So earlier in the year, in like June or July, we drove to Calgary for Calgary regionals, and I won that. So I got a first round bye for nationals, and then we got nationals. And I was like, oh my god, like I get to attend nationals because it's here, which is crazy. Like that was like a huge deal because there's all these like nationals and continentals and worlds, like all of those tournaments were completely unreachable for me because like I couldn't justify flying. And like I'll take this
Mm.
time to like kind of like I want to talk about, how we usually like, Brandon, you usually tell people like, and we all do this, like you should travel for Netrunner events, like go to organized play, like it's really good, right? There is like there is one thing, like I tell people about that too.
Mhm.
Um, but like there is one thing about that. It's like if you don't actually know, like if you don't know what it is that we're talking about, like we're like, Netrunner is a great community. Like you'll meet a tons of good people, and like you don't have to like even if you don't think you're gonna win very many games, you're gonna have a great time, which is
Mhm.
all very true. But as somebody who doesn't know, like they haven't experienced what we're talking about,
Mm.
like it's still really hard to like because you have to buy flights and buy a hotel. Like there's like real money,
Yeah.
like a substantial amount of money, especially in Canada, right, where you have to spend to get to those places. So like, you go to your local events for sure. But like once you're like not local and you have to fly and you have to book a hotel, those things make it so you have to take like so much more of a dip before you have to like actually buy into that stuff
Yeah.
ahead of time before you actually know you're going to experience. And like okay, so and the other thing is like my family's like Chinese, right? And like I feel like this is
Good to
I
know.
feel like I associate this with like Asian.
Great info. If anyone didn't know, now you know. Yeah.
Yes, right? And it's like this just like it just wouldn't fly in my family. Like it just wouldn't fly with my mom. It's like
But
if
you would
I
travel or.
if I was like if I was like I want to go to this event and I need to book a flight and book a hotel and I'm just going to meet friends, like
Okay.
like me like and it's not friends that I've known in the past, like it's new friends that I know now. Like
Mm.
I was like the response would definitely be like the response would definitely be, who are these people you've met and how did you have the time with these people, because you should spend more time studying. So it was not good. Like I was never going to travel to anything. like a road trip to Calgary over a weekend is like that's as far as we're gonna go.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Canadian Nationals coming to Edmonton was a huge deal because that was the very, very first time where it was like a higher level event. Like that was I had played in 2 regionals. There was an Edmonton 2018 that I finished third in, I think, third or fourth, and then there was a Calgary regionals in 2019 that year, which we had traveled to and I had won. And I felt like I won that tournament comfortably. Like I knew the decks that I was playing. I was playing like Fast Advanced Titan with 2 hard-hitting news, 1 high-profile target, and I was playing like Rizeki Cabinessa Wu. It was like stim hack out 2 or 3 Rizeki turn 1. And both of those decks was like the Cabinessa deck was like a deck that I like I was kind of like deck building by at the time I was deck building by kind of like looking up decks that existed on NetRDB and then kind of like finding like I knew that I wanted to build a Cabinessa deck with Rizeki and Stimhack. So I would like look up those cards in deck lists in RDB and I would compare all the top decks that have been posted like that and I'd like figure out my own list based off a combination of the decks that I see. And that worked out really well for me. That's what I did for probably from like 2018 all the way till probably like 2022, 2021. That was like usually that was like my deck building process. So I'd like figure out a key idea, put that into the cards used search, and then like look at what other people have done, and then come up with a list, or maybe like copy one person's and then adjust if I'd like decks that I played. The Cabinessa deck got decent traction after I posted it, and like I started like feeling like I had a good feel for the game, but I never actually like I didn't really know like am I just like good in Edmonton and like when you actually like put me on a in a nationals or a continentals or a worlds like I just get like I'm completely out of my depth like I'd have no idea, right? But I felt like I was in a decent spot, and at Canadian Nationals like I was like okay this is great. So I played Smoke.
Yep.
I played Smoke and I played Self Growth Program Argus. Because like we know that Whiteblade had won US Nationals a month ago. Whiteblade had traveled to US Nationals and won US Nationals a month ago, and I watched that stream and I was like, all right, there's somebody, I have no idea who this person is, but there's somebody who has just won US Nationals and they played this Liza deck that they're hyping up, and everybody seems to be hyping up this Liza deck. And I understand that Self Growth Program is a counter to this Liza deck, and I understand that this person is coming to Canadian Nationals. And so in my mind, I was just like, okay, I don't know who else is coming, but I know that the person who just won US Nationals is coming.
Sure.
So I don't know who else is coming. The person who just won US Nationals is coming. So I've got to make sure that I gotta beat this player. So I put Self Growth Program in my deck. And then day of, I think basically like day of like that crew came. So the Winnipeg crew came, and then like Calgary people came, Edmonton people came, and then there's one other person who came. Do you know who that is?
Me or X?
Yeah. Well, either
I
of
know.
you. I doubt Axie would know.
I know who it is.
You know who it is.
Like a Canadian
Yeah.
player? Andre?
Yep. Ooh, no, but
Nope.
try
Like
again and you might get
Brandon?
it.
Diogen? Like
Nope,
I don't
I
know
was not
Canadian
there.
players, but like
I know who it is.
Okay, it was
Brandon,
the
you guess.
legendary Dean Tran.
Yep. The legendary Gene. I was about to say the person who got me into the game.
Yeah, the legendary Dean Tran. And I remember I actually recognized him because he was like sitting there writing a deck list, and nobody knew he was coming. No, like nobody knew he was coming. And he was sitting, and I went up there, and I was like, "Hi, oh my god! Like I've seen you play before." Like I wasn't like I was like really excited to kind of like talk to everybody. But then I saw him sitting there, and I went over, and it was just like talking, and I was telling him that I recognized him because I'd seen him play on stream because he had like made the World's Cut maybe that year or the year before, and I like saw him play on stream. Maybe there was also a Continentals or Nationals or something. Like I was like, I've seen you play on stream a couple times. yeah, and I was like, that's amazing. And this might have been like, aside from like saying hi and like basic greetings, this was what he said to me. I said to him like, I've seen you play all these things. You're so good. Like you're playing on these streams. And he said to me, I'm sure that if you had the opportunity to go, that you would be there too. Which is I think about that a lot. And he gave me, and then I was like, and then I like, he had his tokens there, and he had a bunch of like metal ANRPC dice. And I remember I was like looking at them and I was saying that I liked them, and he was like, yeah, like if you want, you can take two. And so I took a purple one, and that's the dice that I roll now. Like that's the dice that I have in my box that I like. That's the dice that I use for my accesses.
Mhm.
And it has done me quite well. That dice is very trustworthy. So that was Canadian Nationals. I won that tournament. It was like we played 5 rounds of double-sided Swiss, and this is like the most cursed, right? The most cursed thing that happened because we were all like, I remember at the very start of the tournament, like based on the number of people we had, which was not a ton. Like we had like this in the high 20s, I want to say.
Mhm.
High 20s or no more than 35, like high 20s, low 30s. We played 5 rounds of double-sided Swiss, and it was way more than we should have done because like we were just like, yeah, like we want to play Netrunner, right? So we were like, let's play 5 rounds of double-sided Swiss. We're gonna cut to a top 8.
Mm. How many people were
Okay.
there?
That like high 20s, like I want to say 28, 29.
That's a lot of rounds.
Right? And we also did it all in one day.
Sure.
5 rounds of double-sided Swiss, cut to top 8. So
Mhm.
here was my path. I had a bye in the first round because I had my one national. I won regionals. I had a bye, and then I swept round 2, and then I ID'd round 3, 4, and 5.
You just need to play one game. Easy. Well, 2 games.
Easy as.
Yeah.
That shit is so
Okay, but
quick.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay, like if you just frame it that way, you're like, man, that was all I had to do was play this one game. But that one round was against Dean Tran.
Fair enough.
The one round that I played was against Dean Tran. Dean was playing CTM and Liza.
Mm?
And I remember both of those games, like when he sat down against me playing Liza into the Argus, he asked me, he was like, as we were shuffling our decks, he was like, do you have programs that grow?
Good.
And I gave the typical like, you're gonna shrug your shoulders and say, I don't know. And then that's how I got him, right? You played the self-growth program into the high profile.
Mm.
And then in the CTM matchup, I remember this other moment where, because this was kind of like, that was kind of like my like Dean was like the player that I had played that was not in Edmonton or Calgary. And
Mhm.
that's like, I guess that's actually the first time that I'm kind of realizing that myself. But that's true. Like he was the first player that I had played. He's the first player that I had played in person. Like I think I had been playing on JNet here and there, but
Mhm.
like first person I played in person who was not from Edmonton, Calgary. And I know that he's like for sure a good player, right? So
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, how, like I'm kind of like, do I actually know what I'm doing? And the Argus Liza matchup, like, that's just like really that's just like, okay, you have this card that beats this deck. So that doesn't really tell you that much. But the smoke CTM game, I played really well. I played really well. There was 2 key moments in that game that I read the board well, and it was really good. The first moment was the play pattern that we all are familiar with now, where you install a Beal naked on the table and then you play hard hitting news. So my turn on that turn was run the Beal, install SMC for misdirection, misdirect the tags. That was like one moment, which like recognizing that the card that was just installed is a Beal. And then the other memorable moment from that matchup was there was an ice on R&D that I was like, I just had a feeling that it was Hydra. And I was playing Stealth Smoke, right? So my Sentry
Mm.
Breaker was Dagger, and Dagger is a 0 strength Sentry Stealth Breaker that says you spend 1 stealth credit for +5 strength. So with just the smoke credit, you can't break a Hydra because you can't get the strength. And
Mm.
there were lots and lots of opportunities for me to poke R&D, for me to play Maker's Eye, or I don't think I had Maker's Eye. I had Turning Wheel. But like there was tons of opportunities for me to run R&D. And I was just like, you're playing CTM, which is like not super common to have Hydra. I just had a feeling that that ice was Hydra. So I didn't run, and I didn't run, and I didn't run, and I only ran when I had that second stealth credit, and then he rezzed a Hydra. And I was like, wow, like I was actually correct about that. Which is like in my head, that's kind of crazy.
That's when the Sokka mind tricks began. All right, that's when it all began. Got those two things right, and from there on, he the cold reads, that cold read, it was perfect.
Crazy. I don't know. And then there was the finals against Whiteblade, where I played the finals. I was in the winner's side. I was in the right, so I had to win one game, and Whiteblade had to win two.
Mhm.
And we were playing the Liza versus Argus matchup. I don't know if you guys have heard this story, but this is a very
I have, yes.
I haven't.
this is a very yeah, Brandon. The thing is, this is the thing, right? Like when we were kind of like, okay, we're gonna do this podcast, and I'm gonna come and chat, and I'm like, there's like nothing that I Brandon doesn't know about me. I don't think.
Find out.
Blood type?
We'll find out. I learn stuff all the time. I'm sure there's more to learn.
When I say something that's brand new, I need you to let me know that there's like, oh, that right there, didn't know that. I'll briefly talk about this finals because
Mhm.
like there's two key things happened in this finals. The main thing is in the Argus versus Liza matchup, which is the first game. Like the games were just like really screwed up in lots of ways because in the first game, Whiteblade 5 clicks on their first turn, and nobody noticed.
Skill diff.
And it was being streamed. Like Dean and like some local players were streaming it, and there were like people watching. And again, like I'm not saying like like what Whiteblade cheated, and like that's how the game was won and stuff like that.
Mm.
I didn't notice, nobody noticed, but like it was really impactful because my first turn was like it was like Ice HQ, Ice R&D, install, or sorry, Ice HQ, Ice Remote, install Rashida, something like that. But there was a Data Raven in front of a Rashida and a remote. And Whiteblade goes, run R&D, take a tag, draw 2 cards, access. Run the
Mm.
remote, res Data Raven, walk through the Data Raven, track the Rashida. Oh, sorry, it was gamble and run the remote. They were able to pay for the Data Raven trace. And then, so now they have 2 tags, and then they went install dummy box, install Citadel.
Oops.
And that's 5 clicks. And like every single click there was like very integral to the structure of the whole turn.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Because you can't if you don't install the dummy box, then I track the Citadel.
Mhm.
Right? And if you
Right.
don't install the Citadel, then you have to click to clear the tag, which is also a big deal. And if you don't play the gamble, then you can't pay through the Data Raven. And like if you don't run R&D, you did like yeah. And if you don't run the
Yeah.
remote, you don't trash the Rashida. Like every single thing is like huge there. And then yeah, so then the game goes on, and then in both me and Whiteblade's mind, it was like, all right, we're gonna play this game where things are gonna happen, but then at some point in the game, if you play Self Growth Program, high profile target, then the game's over. So we were playing, and then I had assembled high profile target and consulting visit. So I was
Mhm.
like, all right, I'm going to play consulting visit into self growth and then high profile. And I just said that, and I laid the cards on the board, and I was just like kind of like thumbing through the deck to try to find this self growth. Like, Whiteblade's a very like fast player, right? And the
Yeah.
second like something happens, they're like, all right, like the game's over. Right.
GG's,
So
yeah.
the second I play the consulting visit, and then Whiteblade's like, yeah, you got it. And I was like, yeah. And then and Whiteblade's like, all right, good game. And then we shake hands, like, all right, game's over. We played the 2 cards that win the game. And then Dean comes running over from the stream. And Dean's running over from the stream. And Whiteblade's like Whiteblade's like, good game, like congratulations on becoming the Canadian national champion and all that jazz. And I was like, oh my god, like I won. And then Dean comes over and is like, wait guys, resolve the cards. Resolve the cards.
Huh?
Because Whiteblade had 3 tags and had 4 cards in hand. And self-growth program says add 2 cards back to hand.
Oh.
Oh god. Oh god.
Whoops. Did like
So-
were the cards like
boy.
taken out already? So could you continue? Or what?
So we continued. We were like, resolve the cards. Because we hadn't cleaned up the table yet.
So you were forced to play
so
you had to play the self-growth
Sorry?
program?
correct.
Couldn't you?
Correct.
You were not allowed to
Oh.
take it that back, or did you even
Honestly,
ask?
like again, it wasn't even the thought that.
Okay,
Cut-
sure.
Okay, let me explain this. This was before the time. Okay, this
Mhm.
tournament was before the time where every participant was indoctrinated to raising their hand and yelling "judge" and holding the
Okay, fair enough.
So back then, we would just start the tournament, and that was it. So, so a judge call was completely new to me. Okay, there was no. I don't like. There was like. I don't know like what. Who is a judge and what do they do? No idea. Okay.
Can I add something to this?
Okay.
Let alone
Before you-
how to resolve a situation.
Mhm.
Go on.
So I think one important factor is, and why I think this was like so insane as well, is that because you mentioned you did this all in one day, and the time that you were doing this, everybody was cooked.
It was
Like-
like 11 p.m.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you started like hella early. Like this is like
Like
12
10
hours.
a.m.
Like everybody is.
I mean, Sokka had to play like 5
You
games
know?
beforehand, so like Sokka was not cooked. Don't act like that.
That's
No,
right.
no, no. Okay, here actually, here's the thing. I want to speak on that a bit. So there's multiple ways to be cooked, right? Like you could be sleepy tired, you could be like mentally tired, but you can also be cooked in that you didn't play enough. Like your isn't in the right place to be playing at the like highest competition,
I mean,
right?
yeah,
So sometimes
but sure.
when you actually don't play enough games and then you play in the cut, like that's a detriment, or can be.
Yes.
So, but at this point, everyone's kind of cooked. Everyone's making mistakes. No, it's crazy. Mayhem.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, I felt good. I felt good at the time.
At the time, yeah.
But yeah, no, for
sure.
sure. 5 games is exactly how many games I played. I played 2 games in Swiss in round 2 against Dean, and then I played round 1, round 2, round 3 of the cut, and then because it was a top 8 cut, so I was into winners finals. I was into grand finals after 3 wins of the cut.
Oh, you had to wait for the like lower final games.
Yeah,
also.
exactly. And then I had to wait 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm pretty sure what happened was they were just like resolve the cards, so that's what I did. So I was like, all right, so like, you know, we're gonna growth your paparazzi and your no, there was no paparazzi. It was just Citadel.
Mm.
We're gonna self growth your because there was paparazzi in the deck, but it hadn't been found yet. It was just
Mhm.
Citadel. So I self growth the Citadel and some other card that I didn't want to have to be on the board, and then I played the high profile. And like now that you're saying this, you're like, yeah, like I guess I should have been able to not play the high profile and just keep it in hand. In my mind, I was just like,
Resolve
right,
the
like,
cards.
resolve the cards, and I declared that I would play self growth high profile. So I played self growth high profile. I resolved the cards, and now I was just completely screwed because I just played these 2 cards. Whiteblade didn't die, so I went on to lose the game. And the keen listeners out there will have noticed that I said there's no paparazzi, and the only meat damage prevention was
Mhm.
Citadel. So I actually just missed a win because I could have consulted profile and then played 2 high profiles, and that would have been lethal.
Oh damn! Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's.
but in my mind, it was just like self growth high profile. Like that's the win combo.
Just railroading onto the 1 win condition you have.
But the thing is, so this then set up a really cool Smoke versus Argus game. That game was like really, really good in a lot of ways. Because in winners finals, I had played against Whiteblade where I was playing Smoke into the Argus, and Whiteblade scored 2 hostile takeovers early, and then I just completely ran over the Argus. Like I was like, that game in winners finals was like things were just super cheap for me. I had everything set up, and there was this one turn where I had turning wheel. I had there was this ice on R&D that Whiteblade was a res, and I went install Cubon, and the intention was install Cubon, run R&D 3 times, gain $6 in 3 turning wheel counters, right? And the second I installed the Cubon and I initiated the run on R&D, Whiteblade conceded.
Yeah.
So so in this game, like Whiteblade was like, okay, like I'm not gonna score early hostiles. Like they had a good understanding of what my deck was trying to do, and how how the matchup kind of plays. So they approached the matchup differently. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like the game was just really good, some really good back and forth. Like I was put into some tough spots that I had to figure out. There's one specific play that I remember where Whiteblade's first turn was Ice HQ, Ice R&D, Hedge Fund, or Ice HQ, Ice R&D, do something else. And I remembered from the deck list that there's 1 Afshar, and then everything else costs 4. There's or more. There's like Data Raven, there's Hordem, there's Mausolus, there's what other ice that they play, but they're all like more than 3 credits. And there was this certain turn where I got hard hitting, and I was like, and I only had $2. And I could have gone credit, clear 4 tags with misdirection, but instead I was like, I remembered that first turn where Ice on HQ and Ice on R&D was installed on the same turn, and there's only 1 Aftar. So if there's an Aftar, it's not on R&D, it's going to be on HQ. So I went and dirty laundried R&D because Whiteblade only had 3 credits. And I was like, dirty laundry R&D, you can't res this ice, so I can get some dirty laundry money, and it's just like smoother for me to clear these tags. So I made that play, felt super smart about myself, finished the game, and then we were kind of talking about the game, and I brought up that moment and all that stuff. And then that's when I realized that there's an IP block in the deck that I forgot about. And if that was IP block, I would have lost right there. But it wasn't.
Thank God.
Yeah, okay. So that was Cannats.
Wait.
Yeah, go on.
So I know this is the Sokka special. I get that. But are you really not going to tell the people the best part about that Cannats?
Oh
Which part?
man. There's something best part?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was that Cannats.
Explain.
The best part. They I feel like this is not what you're talking about, but it's like after the tournament, I went in the Winnipeg people's van, and I live in the South Side, and they were like, yeah, like, let's hang out, let's go to our Airbnb and let's hang out, and it was like 12:30 a.m. and I'm like riding this high, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. So like I go into their van with all these people that I don't know, and we like drive way into the north side. And like it's like a 45-minute drive from my house to where this Airbnb is. So I get there, we're hanging out, and I like tell my parents that tell my mom that I'm going there, and then like later in the night, like I have to like call them to come pick me up, and it's like super far away.
Okay. No, but see, that's a good story and something I did not know. You see? Isn't this the Cannats where D-Tran like mid-tournament, in the middle of the floor, like calls Dan Dargio to ask him about the ruling of Deuces Wild?
Oh,
What?
yes. Yes,
the
I
fuck?
totally forgot about that.
Yeah, that was sick.
Middle of the tournament, they call like a different player to like get a rule in your card. You didn't have like Netter DB or
This was in the
FIQ
cut.
or
This was in
anything?
the cut.
Fuck
No.
that.
Okay, so
This is the old days, all right?
this was in the cut.
You
This
had
was in the
people on
cut. It was
speed
in a
dial.
This was in the cut. It was a game that it didn't involve me.
Mhm.
I don't remember who the players were. Dean was not a player in the game. It was 2 other people who were like Edmonton and Calgary people, I think, and they were playing. And the question was, can you use the mode on on Deuces Wild that says expose a card and make a run. Can you use that mode if there is no card to be exposed? Can you use the card to make a run if there is no face down card for you to expose? That was the question. And we were like, let's, figure it out. Like, so there was I guess there was a judge call. So there was and I was kind of standing nearby, and people were like kind of gathering to kind of like figure this out, like, because the card says expose a card, then make a run. And if there's no card to expose, can you pick that option? They were kind of talking about it, and can it happen? Can it not? And then Dean was like, I got this. Like, let's just call him and ask. Let's just call Dan Dorgenio and ask. So Dean takes his phone. So Dean takes out his phone, calls Dan Dorgenio, and puts his phone on speaker and puts it in the middle of the table. So then we like, so it's ringing. Dan picks up, and Dean was like, "Hey, like you're on speaker live at Canadian Nationals in Edmonton, and we have a judge call question." I don't know if that was the specific wording, but he was like, "We have a question for you. Can you do this thing? Can you make a run with Deuces Wild without exposing a card?" And I believe what he said was like, "Oh man, like I don't really know." And then he like goes and like pulls up NetRunnerDB or pulls up a copy of the card to go read the card. And then Dan's like reading the card on his phone or whatever, and he's like reading the text, and he was like, "Yeah, I think you can." So then that was like, all right, like thank you, there's the answer. And then we like hung up and we like played on, and they like used it to make the run.
Imagine if he said no, you can't. Imagine if he's just wrong in that situation.
No, it doesn't matter. Listen, I'm sorry, OP, but like sometimes, sometimes you have to phone a friend. You know what I mean?
Call for assistance.
Sometimes we use "Who Wants to Be a Millionaire" rules. Okay.
I also love that we just called the person who designed the card like as the like world champion designed by them. Nobody else can know, but the person who made the card.
Yeah, like I'm not calling a judge. Yo, Rotom, how do you use this Ansel card, bro?
That's so funny.
You know what I mean?
So
sounds cool. Reasonable to me.
That sounds hype to me.
Correct, me too.
I'll say I've had nobody call me to ask about my card, but my card is like hella straightforward. But maybe when the next set comes out,
you have to design some like rule nightmare card so you can get the call.
Teasing. Spoilers. Yo, you're getting a call. You're getting a call right now from NSG. You better hope that Safer is like dropped out of this Discord. Okay, so CanNets, you go over it later. You're kind of like, I made some mistakes, but really I competed. I did well. And we're Canadian national champions. So you're flying high. 2019, boom, boom. But then, also, you became German.
Oh yes, but man, Brandon and his memory, Jesus.
What the fuck Nordwar interview is this?
Listen, you gotta know the histories. Listen, I can't be on here, Ray Tay Tay and going off and da da da. If I don't know the histories, you know what I mean?
Damn, like I would have. This is why Brandon has a podcast and I don't. Everybody, this is why. Like he remembers. He knows what needs to come out. He knows what's there. He knows where to poke. Yeah. After the tournament, Labs messaged me. I don't remember if it was a DM or if it was a message in a public, like on Slack, that he like pinged me. I feel like it was the latter. I feel like it was a public message. I was pinged, and Labs was like, "Congratulations on winning a nationals with Paragon Smoke. That makes you an honorary German." So that was that. I became German because I won with Paragon Smoke, which I was told was created because the North Americans were trying to send they were trying to like send the Germans bad deck ideas to kind of plague their testing. So I was told that the North Americans were trying to send bad deck
Mhm.
ideas to the Germans to try to like waste their time in playtesting leading up to some big event. And Paragon Smoke was one of those ideas. And then Pinsel took Paragon Smoke and won German nationals with it.
Backfired.
That's crazy. What the fuck?
Oh yeah, man. So many things were. Oh man, were cracked back then. It's just so funny. Oh my god, like just the propaganda, you know.
That's good stuff.
It was very good stuff. So you're national champion. You're also German, but like, and again, you're like you brought up a good point. I would like to respond or touch on that. Okay, we had Andre on last week, right? And he was like, Brandon, you mean like organized play, not competitive play. I'm like, yes, that's what I mean. So I'm going to add on to this. People do this if it's within your means, okay? I don't mean go against your parental figures. I mean, unless you're a rebel like that, and then do you, okay? But like, I also mean, don't max out your credit cards without ways of paying for it. Like, it has to be reasonable. And like you have to be committed to taking the dip that, Sokka is. Yes. Oh man. Listen, apparently there's a thing called short court. And when Whiteblade listens to short court, she's gonna be very, very upset. She hates when I have disclaimers on anything. And every time I have a disclaimer, I always think of her as like, "Yo, fuck them, all right? we just raw cut that shit over here." I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, yes, make sure that you're sensible about it, and then you can come and have all the fun that we have. Okay. But Sokka, 2019. Okay, all these things happened. It's good, but you're in uni, and like if they're certainly not going to let you travel out of province, they're not going to let you travel out of the country. So NSG getting worlds and rotating worlds between Europe and North America. It's in Europe. It's in Rotterdam 2019. Well, you're not going. So
No. Well, it's in Rotterdam 2019. That's right. That Rotterdam 2019, I'm certainly not going. But this is a perfect segue because in 2020, there's this thing that happened.
I was getting to that.
Right.
The Dark Ages. That's what we call it on the podcast.
Well, see, okay. See, Andre was saying this too. I don't remember the word that Andre used, but Andre was kind of saying like, like COVID was kind of okay for me or something along those lines, right?
Right. Yeah.
And again, like I understand like COVID was a hard time for a lot of people, for most vast majority of people. And but like for me it actually did a lot of things like the effect of COVID actually was good for me in a lot of ways. And like it was good. Like and when I say good, like I'm not like it was in terms of school and in terms of Netrunner, like it created like things happened that would not have otherwise happened.
Right.
And I'll go through like I'll explain the school one first because that one's quick. Like I was in in 2020, I was in my second year of accounting. And then in 2020, 2021, in that school year, I was in my third year of accounting. And the third year is notoriously the hardest year. And I was in like accounting is like a hard degree. And I was in accounting, but the goal was always to go to law school. So like I needed like really good marks in a really hard degree. There was two classes, maybe there was more, but there was two key accounting classes that are really, really hard classes that became a million times easier because the exams went from written to multiple choice. And it was a huge deal. Like it went from giving you this 10 pages of information and preparing financial statements. So you have to like gather all the information, have it all ready, and then like answer like a million questions in the context of creating these financial statements versus isolating every single individual question into an isolated multiple choice question. It became so easy. Like I did so well in that class, but like the thing is like I wonder if like this is like if I actually did those courses normally, if I would have still done well compared to the rest of the class. Because the thing is like I was like I did really well in that class compared to others. So like I guess like the way that the questions were changed, I think just like helped me a lot more than it helped other people. It seemed. And 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 because I did so well in that class, I got an invitation to the honors program, which was like there was like 7 of us in the honors program. You had to be invited. That was significant because it got me some like it made me some close friends, but it also was significant in terms of marks because like again, like I'm just like I need to get into law school, I need to have good grades. And by getting into this honors program, I as part of that program, there was like 2 seminars that you got to take with your other honors students. And because there's only 7 students, they don't curve the class. They just have it so that like you know if you show up and you put in a decent effort, then everybody's going to get an A.
Okay.
Which was like all I needed to hear to say to agree to join the
To be like,
program.
hell yeah!
Yeah,
That's
give me
right.
those cheap grades. I don't know.
That's all I needed to hear. So it like in addition to making 3rd year itself much easier than it otherwise would have been, it also made my 4th year much easier than it otherwise would have been. So it was really good for so like COVID was really good for that, for school. And we also know that like I'm somebody who I sleep in, right? Um and like when I have class, like I would have class at like 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., right? And I would have to wake up. I'd have to like go take the bus to to the subway station, to the train station, and then like get on the train, take the train downtown or like to campus. And that was like a whole 45 minutes. And if I woke up at 8 a.m., then I could then my mom and would like could drive my sister to school and she could drop me off at the train station, which cuts it down to 15 minutes, but that's still some time. Whereas in 2020, from March of 2020 until for the whole of 3rd year, it was like I have class at 10 a.m. Right. Like, you know, you'd set your alarm for 9:59. You'd like your alarm would go off. You'd reach down onto the ground where my laptop was already positioned. You'd turn on the laptop. You'd press the power button. You'd click on the Zoom link, and then you'd go back to sleep.
Yep, I know.
Yo, LP. Man, why why did they have that when I was in school? My goodness.
They did like I was in like vocational college at the same time as like this shit happened, and yeah, it was kind of cheap.
Damn.
Which was like, yeah.
I don't think
I'm
you
like,
learned
it's
anything
great.
on the last year of my thing because like I didn't care at that point, but yeah, it was hella easy.
Yeah. And then in terms of Netrunner, like you know, like I was all explaining this whole thing before, is like I can't travel to events. Like I won this Canadian Nationals, but like, you know, that was still local. Um, like it was like a bigger tournament. There was like a couple people who came in who otherwise would be there, but otherwise it was like 95%, 95% Edmonton and Calgary people. So I was like, okay, like how do I play at other international events? And COVID was the answer, because COVID made everything go online, and that was like yeah, the 2020 Continental season was where it all began. You know, I mean, we know where this is going. Like this is where Brandon was doing his thing. He was doing well, and I was able to play in like online tournaments. Like online tournaments weren't a thing. I don't think like online tournaments were not a thing at all until COVID happened, right?
Yeah, like they weren't part of organized play. Like, I don't think so. I think maybe there were some maybe minor eternal things,
There was like some
like when
leaks, right? Like I
yeah,
know
like
a
there was
Steam
some
there was like a Steam hack league where they played on like Octagon and stuff. I think at least at like some point and stuff like
yeah,
that probably existed.
there were some
Sure.
leagues hacked, but nothing where like it related to like the competitive season.
Yeah,
Right.
it's very much
Right.
like separate at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah. So bada bing, bada boom, all of a sudden.
All of a sudden, I was playing in large tournaments. So I played in the BLM tournament, in the Black Lives Matter fundraising tournament, and then into Continentals. I think like going into Continentals, like I was kind of like I kind of want to reach out to some people. I know that people like to test together. Like who do I reach out to?
Mhm.
And Brandon was like the guy, because I know that Brandon was like I don't know how I knew this or like what like where I saw this, but I knew that like you were playing and I knew that you were looking for people to play with.
Do you want me to fill this in?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So basically what happened, like similar story to Sokka, where like the pandemic, because Netrunner moved online, it opened everything up for me. People were always memeing on me that I was in everybody's Discord because I was. Like I was just collecting Discord. I was like, look, oh, this person, you got a Discord? Cool, let's play. And basically one time what happened was I was like, so I was on Slack, and
Mhm.
Josh, net jogging, he would do like he moved his like Glen Runner meetup online, and he was posting in like Boss Wash and General and whatever. And I was like, cool, like, how do I join this? Da da da. Like, and he's like, where are you from? And I'm like Toronto or whatever. It's like, where'd you hear about this? I'm like, Slack, like you posted whatever. And like, but like these messages were like very like they like it'd be like I'd message and then I'd get a response like 3 or 4 days later, and then I'd message and then it'd get a response. It like took some time. So on the night that like they were supposed to have the online meetup, I thought that they were streaming, and it was actually Lori from is Calgary or Edmonton?
Lori is Edmonton.
Edmonton, yeah, was streaming, and I thought, oh, this is what I was like waiting for. Let me get on. And so I'm in the stream, being like, yeah, can I get on? Da, 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 da. And so I get in, and they're like, nah, this is the Edmonton Discord. This is like. So anyway, I start playing there for like a couple times, and they're like, yes, we're gonna have this G&K, and I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Like you should play. And then so I played, and Sokka, you were in it, and a friend from Toronto Sadstug was just like, oh yeah, Sokka's in there. He's really nice, and he's a really good player, and
Mhm.
da da da. And that was like the first I was hearing of you. And then Sadstug was showing me the standings of BLM, and I was like, yeah, he just like missed the cut at BLM, da da da. And so I was even more excited because I'm like, for me, it's the same thing, was just like getting to play against people. Like even though I'd been to Worlds like a couple times now, like being able to play consistently against people who were not like in my meta
Mhm.
was like just super exciting, right?
Yeah.
And like that's the first time we played. We split. It was so funny. We wanted to play so badly. The G&K was supposed to be 3 rounds, but we didn't get to play against each other yet. So we're like, can we do a 4th round so that we could actually pair? And then we played. Yeah, from there it was we were just like, okay, we're gonna set up meetings, we're gonna talk, we're gonna play, that sort of thing.
And then we went into Continentals.
Mhm.
Went into Continentals. You were playing some rude outfit.
I sure was. I was killing a lot of people. Killing that deck. Oh my! Listen, people, if you've never installed reversed accounts behind an ice and just waited for your opponent to run so that you could dedication ceremony the reversed accounts, steal $12 from them, and then hard hitting use them, you haven't been living. I'm telling you, best feeling in the world. Trust.
See, I was still like at that time, I don't remember, like I feel like I was kind of like looking for a corp deck, didn't really have a good corp deck that I was playing. So I ended up playing that and it did well for me, but like I feel like there was lots about that deck that I didn't totally understand yet. Like I was still. This was like between 2020 Continentals until like I want to say like until 2021 Worlds. So for that year and 2 months, I was still very much in a phase where I was like playing these decks that were good, but I didn't have a I didn't have a great understanding of like why they were good, what makes it good, like I did like a complete understanding of the deck yet. Um, so and that was like one of those, yeah, that was like one of those tournaments where I was like just kind of like riding the deck and like playing moves that I thought were good, but like I think I was still missing a lot at that time. Um, made the North American Continentals top cut that year. And then I went 0-2 in the cut. I think I was third. I was third seed going into the cut. I was third seed going into the cut, and that was one. The lesson that I learned that tournament was in the first round. I was up. I in the first round I picked a matchup that I shouldn't have picked. Because I was like, I think I'm slightly favored. I think the other matchup is better for me. But if I pick this matchup, then in the next round I'm going to play the other side, and that's going to be good for me based off the two players that are playing over there. And then I lost, and it was like you gotta. That was like the lesson in the cut. There was like you can only factor that in if the two matchups in front of you are actually exactly the same. Otherwise, you have to pick the one that's better.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you gotta just win the game that's in front of you.
Correct.
Man, okay. And then we kind of expanded into Vancouver. Again, I was living in Edmonton at the time, but there was a very strong Vancouver scene that involved a dumb brick, or now a brick, who is sometimes shows up here and there, but mostly doesn't play anymore. But I think that was the name. Like I feel like that name I saw a lot. And there was a tournament, there was an Ocarina tournament, an only kind of runner in New Angeles tournament run by Sanjay. Where you pick there was like a list of agendas, and you could be an agenda. Like the agenda ability was your identity. And so me and Thomas were kind of deck building for this, and then we showed up, and basically what brought us together with the Vancouver, what brought me together with the Vancouver crew over that tournament was the Vancouver crew had been testing for this, and they like built a deck, and they built a criminal deck that was card for card what I had played, except for like 3 card changes. So we had built this deck, it was 3 cards different, and we kind of bonded over that. Yeah. So then we were like talking, and then that's how kind of the group known as House Hippos was formed, and Brandon was with us as well.
Do you want to tell the funny Jason's or the Sid 7 story?
Man, your memory is so much better than mine. Go on.
Oh, great. So basically, we're leading up to this, and like me and Sokka were playing and things like that. But also, because like I'm in the Eastern time zone here, like between me and Vancouver is like 3 hours difference. So and Sokka being in Edmonton is 2 hours difference from me. So he'd play with me, and then go play with the Vancouver people if I like went to bed. But he's like, yeah, we should connect with the Vancouver people and play and da da da. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm totally down. Cool. And so going to like play with the Vancouver people for like the first time, I remember Sid 7 or Jason was we were like gonna play. And I'm thinking in my mind that like Sokka's already told them like, yeah, I'm coming to play as well, and this is my situation, that I need an oracle, that a vision. None of that groundwork was laid. So what happened was we actually played, split off into different chat, and then after the game, this was like, I can't remember what I said, but then System was like, yeah, I was wondering why the hell you guys were like playing together. Like that was so weird. Now I know. Okay, this makes so much sense. And I'm like, wait, Sokka, you didn't tell him? He's like, no,
I don't remember this at all.
Oh my god, it was so funny because I can't remember what I said, but it was, and I wish I do remember what I said, but it was like what I said was really weird unless you knew like my situation.
Mm.
Like that would open the thing. So then I'm like, okay, lesson learned. Anyone that I introduce, like I just have to, tell them and like this is what's happening. But it was so funny. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't remember this at all.
oh, that was such a fun time. That's when it's pretty much the Germans and like Ian and Jason who played Geist. Like that's the first time like that. Like I was like, oh my god,
Mm.
like these Geist players, amazing. Like it's, I think it was crazy because you would play decently good decks, or maybe you would net deck a deck and it was good, or maybe you seen this deck war in a tournament, or you had this idea. It was totally different when you came across good players who were playing tier 0 decks. Like it was absolutely mind blowing.
Mm.
I was like, you can't get in. Oh, I guess you could, and you made credits doing it. What the fuck is happening here? Like it. Oh man, it like that year opened my eyes to a lot of things that like otherwise wouldn't have happened if the pandemic didn't happen.
Right. Yeah. It really like allowed people to connect in a way that wouldn't have happened for me. There was also like just prepping for 2020 Worlds. Like this was my first Worlds. And again, like I would have never been able to play in a Worlds if it weren't for them being online. And yeah, like I was prepping for this Worlds. We got like I was playing Egg Infusion and Leela. And that was a Worlds, like 2020 Worlds was like I had no idea how I was gonna do. Like I had no expectations. I genuinely had no idea, no expectations. Like I was just playing this game, prepping for this tournament with these people. I was on like very late night calls talking about, you know, how talking about testing, talking about matchups. But the thing is like I didn't have a frame of reference. I don't know what other people do. I don't know what the big testing groups do. Like I had no idea. Like is what we're doing good, or like are we actually just like not really prepping that much compared to what other people are doing? And then I show up to that tournament and we're playing and like, I sweep the first round and then I sweep the second round, and then this is double-sided Swiss. We sweep the third round, and after sweeping the third round, it was suddenly after sweeping the third round, it was me and Shoeflower who were the only two people who are 6-0. It was me and Shoeflower who are the only two people who are 6-0. And I remember, and Shoeflower was like, and I was like, Shoeflower was somebody who we had who was in our group and I had played with a little bit, and I was like, you know, we got paired in round 4 because we're the only two people at 6-0, and I'm like, okay, I'd be fine to ID because we can kind of see, like I don't know, I wasn't really thinking that far down the road. This was well before I understood like cut math and all that stuff. And Shoeflower was like, I don't think we're safe to ID yet. Like, I want to play. So
Mhm.
Shoeflower was like, okay, I want to play. And I was like, all right. So we played. And then I swept round 4. And now I'm the only person at 8-0, which is like, well, I was like, oh my God, like I am like maybe I am actually good, like compared to the rest of the field here. So then yeah, so we go 8-0, we ID into the cut, and then things happen. We finish 5th.
Things certainly happened, and
Things
the part of it happened in deck building, part of it happened in play. Oh, the turning wheel.
I mean, what
That's
happened?
sad time.
You can't expect people to know. Like, I'm out of the loop here also.
I don't. We're gonna tell it, but like, well, Sokka, you want to go in? I mean, these are Sokka's painful memories, so
You want to start it off?
Hashtag play data dealer.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
So
So
in the lead up,
basically,
yeah, go on.
so basically, I think one of the like Sokka made a really good point is like prepping for Worlds. We didn't have a blueprint. It was just like tests, but we didn't know like is this the way you're supposed to do it? Are we doing it right? Like all those things, right?
Uh-huh.
I think one of the things that I did was I mentioned in a few podcasts ago, like Analyze Chris was like we played a lot of games, like very like rock, like just great source of information and things like that. And because he was in a testing group that was big, I bounced ideas off, like, what do you think about this? Like, how would you go about this? How does your testing work? That sort of thing. And because we played a lot of games just like on JNet, like I saw that there was just this sports medal that was going around that I can never beat. I never beat this deck. Okay. And it was just this 3 ice, tons of agenda, game changer, but also has like boom and like news team and like could kill you. Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember getting so frustrated with this deck that I was just like, oh, like what is the tech? Oh, it's data dealer. When you steal their agendas, you just click it away for $9 and then they don't have a way of like actually using game changer to like do all their scoring in one turn. Right?
Sure.
I was like, guys, we need to play the data dealer, and they're like, no, I don't think this deck is real. I don't think it's gonna like be that good. I'm like, no, it's like it's pretty legit, you know. I'm like, we should all play data dealer. Anyway, deck sign up happens, whatever. I'm the only one with data dealer, and like as you know, 2020 Limes won Worlds with the sports metal deck,
Yeah.
and beat 4 of my teammates along the way, and 2 of them were very unfortunate. Like they were like very good snipes against Titans. And but one of them was against Sokka, where Sokka got a little too cute with the turning wheel. You want to go in, Sokka?
Yeah, so Limes' path that day in the cut was Friday Chip in Pashiko. He was playing Friday Chip in Pashiko, and he played against Titan round 1, and he played against Titan round 2. Okay, that's like 2. Yeah. So he like, and then it was me in round 3, but like that it shouldn't have made it that far because
Yeah.
the 2 Titan matchups was like they both involved this snipe where where like the Titan where like Ghost Meat and a Dumb Break were gonna win right after. So he lands these snipes, and the other thing that this has set up is that he got these accesses against Gear Check Titan Fast Advance, right? And he's now played Runner twice, and his next 2 matchups was me and then Shoeflower, who were both playing Egg Infusion, and like that the Friday Chip Imp deck doesn't beat Egg Infusion. Like they got 0 chance. But because he's ran twice, he gets to play the other matchup. He gets to Corp. And I'm playing Leela, and Shoeflower's playing 419, which is the 2 faction. Like it's criminal. Like that's the faction you want to play against, as that sports metal deck.
Yeah.
So I'm playing the I look at the deck list and I'm like, I know what I got to do. My odds are not good, but the game plan is I need to run early and steal a Vacheron. I need to find a Vacheron. Once I find a Vacheron, we're gonna pump the brakes and we're just gonna get turning wheel counters the rest of the game. And so that's what I did. I found a Vacheron. I was at 4 points because I had stolen a Vacheron and a 1-pointer. I had 4 points, and I spent 5 turns straight going run HQ, jack out, get 4 turning wheel counters.
Yeah.
So I had 20 turning wheel counters. Okay. And he caught on to what I was doing, and he was like scoring agendas off the board. And like, maybe I should have like weaved in a run here and there on a remote.
Yeah, just mix it up.
But I didn't. And he scored 1-pointers, and he scored mega pre's, and he got to 5 points. And when he got to 5 points, I'm like, all right, like I have to go now because he could biotic out a mega pre. And like the odds of him having that are super low because he's just been scoring mega pre's already. So like the fact that he has the 3rd mega pre with like 28 cards or 29 or 30 cards. I don't know how many cards were in the deck. Like about 20, like low 20s. The chance that he had the 3rd mega pre is low, but like, we're not gonna find out. So I'm like, all right, this is the turn. I guess I had 19 counters. I had 19 turning wheel counters. And what I did on that turn was I was like, all right, like this is the turn we're going to access R&D. So I went run HQ, jack out, run HQ, jack out, run HQ, jack out. I have 22 turning wheel counters, and then I ran R&D, and I spent all 22 turning wheel counters accessing R&D. The issue was I was just, because I had spent 5 turns doing this, I wasn't thinking anymore.
Yeah.
Because in my mind I was just like, we're just gonna deep dig R&D, which was totally wrong, because what I should have done was, okay, so here's what happened is I ran R&D, I accessed, what is that, 12 cards. I accessed 12 cards, and the thing is there's news teams in there, but the news teams don't matter because I'm just gonna take them for tags.
Yeah.
Because if I because I'm gonna lose to Game Changer or I'm gonna lose to Boom, so like the news teams I can just take as tags. And that was like the whole reason I wasn't accessing before was because I don't want to hit these news teams and I don't want to hit these 1-pointers to turn on Boom and turn on Game Changer, right?
Yeah.
So I run R&D, we like news team take the tag, 1-pointer, another 1-pointer, and I couldn't find the third one. I accessed 12 cards, we only found 2 points. So I got to 6 points and then we lost. I don't remember how, it doesn't really matter. Like I either died to Boom or he scored out with Game Changer.
Yeah.
The mistake was those 3 clicks running HQ and jacking out. There was no reason to jack out because
Oh yeah.
the whole reason I wasn't accessing before is that I don't want to see those cards, but now I do want to see those cards.
Yeah, I don't care at the last
So
turn.
I should have ran HQ. Yeah, so I should have ran HQ and accessed for those 3 clicks. And there was I remember doing the math. There was a hyperloop in there, and so there was a 1-pointer, and there was also 2 trashables, or maybe it was 3 trashables. I don't remember.
Okay.
But the math was that if I accessed those 3 cards, I would have given myself an extra 50-50 to win that game. Because if I hit that hyperloop in one of those 3 runs on R&D and access the other 2 points, then I would have won. So I based off the shuffling of the deck, I would have had given myself an extra 50, but 50. But the thing is, honestly, yeah, that was just a huge misplay. In another universe, R&D was the agendas in R&D showed up and I would have won anyways, and I wouldn't have thought about that at all. That was a heartbreaking loss.
Yeah.
Because of the situation, because of the misplay. Yeah, and then I go down to the lower bracket. My Egg Infusion loses to a very aggressive TF34 Freedom. But at that point in the tournament, I was like, for me to beat that sports metal deck, I need to steal an early Vastron, which is not really in my control. And then I need to do this turning wheel thing. But stealing an early Vastron without stealing too many other agendas is not something I can control, right? So in my mind, I was like, that was my chance. I blew the chance. Even if I win 2 lower bracket games and go to the finals and play against him, I have to sweep him, which means I have to beat the sports metal deck, and that's just not happening. So my mental was in the drain, and we losing that game. I was losing the Egg Infusion Freedom game. I was already in my mind, I was like, okay, we're already not winning the tournament, so it was fine. I mean, that was 2020. That was 2020 Worlds.
Yeah.
But I think what it really taught me was I was there. In the world where if the accesses go differently, if I chose to access HQ, this is the what if that Brandon and I will reference is if I in that game against Limes, my next matchup was against Shoeflower, who I had swept in Swiss. And then we'd be into grand finals with a game to spare. And maybe we could have gotten that one done, but we did not.
We did not. Unluck. That's how it goes sometimes.
But it got me again, I think that was, I didn't have expectations going into that tournament. I think that's where things kind of picked up. After 2020 Worlds was where I started having expectations for myself. I was okay, I think I'm doing well. I expect myself to do well at tournaments now, and I'm pretty consistently placing very well. So then we go into Continentals 2021, where I won APAC, Was this the Drago year or was that 2022?
21 was the
That's
Drago year, I think. No, 21
no,
was the
20
PD year.
yeah, 2021 was
Oh,
the
right.
year
Sorry. Yes.
that we
2021 was Fast Advance Sports Metal and APOC Max.
continental season, yes.
Yeah. What did I say?
With full power PD and 419.
Yeah,
With a
peak.
sprinkling of act.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Right.
one of the
So
peak
in
formats.
2021, I guess this was also like a pretty core piece of my development where I am today. In 2021, like it was those decks that Brandon had just mentioned, and everybody. So like I won APAC, which was the first Continentals, and then it was Euros and then North Americas, or maybe the other way around. And every single like 90% of the top cut was either Fast Advanced Sports Metal or PD. So we were going into an intercontinentals with sports metal and PD. Like that's what everybody is going to play. That's what everybody's gonna play. And I kind of think that Acme is good because sports metal's super fast and PD is super fast. So all the runners are trying to beat this, and all the runners are like 419 and APOC Max and all these like very aggressive runner decks. And I'm like, I think I can put an Acme deck together that can beat all of this. So that's what I did. Like I put together this Acme deck. Again, like I was kind of, and that was like mostly. I don't remember if it was like if I had like certain reference decks that I was using, like to what extent I was referencing other people's decks. But there were definitely some very, very key decisions in that deck that I made on my own. So like to name a few, like playing hard hitting, a one of Selm's Hospitality, a one of there was some kind of tag punishment card in there. Like I want to say it was Market Forces. Playing a one of Thoth. Like the Ice Suite was very much like there was like that whole most like basically I want to say like that whole deck was like something that I made pretty close to from scratch. The Agenda Suite was also unique. The Agenda Suite was 3 Bologna, 3 send a message, 1 15 minutes, and 1 QPM. So I play that deck. I caught everybody off guard. Like none of the runners were ready for something like that, and we won intercons without losing a game. And which is a lot less impressive than the other intercons because that intercons was a triple elimination bracket, which meant that if you stayed in the upper bracket, you played significantly less games than anybody else.
Okay, sure.
Which is something that I raised to Lost Geek prior to the tournament. So, you know, because it was something that I had flagged, it is now no longer. It is now fully within my. I don't know what you call it, but I was the one who took advantage of it in the end.
Great.
But yeah, so then I think like that tournament to me was like a turning point in my deck building. Because up until then, like I was very much like, you know, is this card good? Well, let's see if other people are playing it. Or is this deck idea good? Well, like, you know, let's see if other people are playing it and having success. But I think after 2021 intercons where like I made the Acme, it was completely out of left field, like nobody, it was completely different, and I did well with it. Like that's where I started believing my own deck building. And when I, you know, nowadays, but really like from then on all the way till where I am now, like when I build a deck, like whether other people have done well with this or whether this card normally sees play is not something that I consider at all anymore. And it's just like, is this deck good is a question that I just like answer based off completely my own analysis of the deck versus like the meta that as I understand it. But like whether other people play that card or people play this type of deck is like not something I think about anymore. And I think that was like a very key turning point in my deck building. Yeah, I mean, then we're kind of like mostly caught up.
I was about to say, I'm going to kind of group this all together in terms of modern times. Okay.
Exactly.
So basically in 2021, there was basically what happened was I was playing, believe it or not, folks, this actually happened. I was playing blue a lot. Like,
Yeah.
I was playing so much criminal. Do you remember, Saga? I was playing this. I had 3 boomerangs and 3 inside jobs. And I was
Yep.
like, I'm just always going to get in. And then eventually going to set up. And then we're going to do the thing. And like, if you remember, I only played like 1 turning wheel in my deck. And I would always draw it. Because like,
Because
I
you're the
drew it like
god.
it was my job all the time. Yeah, 100%. Turning wheel and I don't know. It was crazy. But because it was always a conversation like Sokka would be like, "Do we need 2 turning wheels?" I'm like, "I don't." I was fine. I don't need it. No, one's fine. But like it was doing so well in testing. And it was late stages that I'm like, I started playing APOC Max again, and I was like, man, but this deck's so fucked. Like it's so cracked, right? And like I'm like, yeah, I'm playing APOC Max. And then like, I don't know. I think maybe it was a schooling thing or you had to do something, but there was a missing line of communication where then you ended up finding out that I went back after like loving the Crim deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think like that was the year before the legend of Sokka 234 like absolutely took off. Like we're like that year was just a blip, okay? We leave that year as it was, okay?
The thing is, though,
Mhm.
like I remember, like in 2021 Worlds, like again, this was when I started having like expectations for myself, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, I go into that tournament expecting to do well. Um, and it was like the fact that I didn't make the cut was like shocking to me. But like it's shocking in terms of my expectations for myself. But what happened that year was like I was just unlucky in a lot of like in all of my games.
Mhm.
Um like in the opening, like I got swept in the first, this was double-sided Swiss again. I got swept in the first 2 rounds. And I think it was like, yeah, I think that was just it. I got swept in the first 2 rounds and then I like swept the third round, maybe, and then I swept the third round and then I split in round 4 and that was it. 5 losses and I was out. Like I played the rest of the tournament, but I was out of the cut mathematically. But in those games, like so Brandon was talking about like I picked up the Steve Cambridge deck and I liked it and I played it and I decided to move away from APOC Max and played that deck. And I felt good about it, but I should have stuck with APOC Max because the matchups like my first loss was against CTM and my second loss I don't totally remember what it was against, but it was also a deck that like would like APOC Max would have been great against. But the thing was like I still just kind of felt it just wasn't meant to be because I still lost my corp games. Like even if I made the wrong runner decision, um the runner games were like there were certain unlucky elements in the runner games as well. But even if like changing my runner deck would have resulted in those wins, I still would have split round 1, round 2. My corp, I was playing the Asmari that everyone else was playing that we played and did well with, and like and I was like playing games where I didn't open an ice on R&D, and my opponent was like, I think my round 2 game was against Hams. It was against Ryan, I think,
Mhm.
where where I just like didn't ice R&D turn 1 and he went run R&D, steal 5, steal 3 points, run R&D, steal 3 points. And that was like the start of the game. I should go back and look at that. See, the thing is I wasn't streaming back then, so I wouldn't be able to.
The stream.
Non-luck.
But 2022 to 20, let's just say till now, like just an incredible stretch. Just absolute like nobody when people go into the Cobra, go into the whatever, they're looking at their rounds, they're like that nobody wants to see Sokka 234 across from them. I remember my experience with that was like 2024. And like, oh, I'm doing so well. I'm 4-0. This is great. Like, we're off to a great. Oh, all right, cool. You know what I mean? Oh, Sokka. Okay, this is gonna be a great game, and we're on stream and everything. But it's like just there's so many magical plays I could be here for hours because one of the things that me and Sokka do is like after tournaments, we'll just go debrief on all the games and all the moments. And like Sokka will play this game, especially if it's like on JNet. He'll go and he'll go through and he'll be like, this happened, this happened, this happened. Okay. And then he'll be like, okay, so it's this turn. These are the cards in hand. These are the cards on the board. This is the situation. What would you have done?
Mm.
And like, what would you have done? And what do you think I did? And like, we'll see if those match up. And it's such a fun game. It's the best game. Like, I, if you have some free time, you should do that with a friend. It's so good. See the game, like the ability to see the game through like Sokka's eyes, because he'll be like, okay, this is what I was aiming for. This is what I was aiming to do. This is what I thought my opponent had or how they were playing or whatnot. Like I learned so much from watching or reviewing or going over that like would have taken me who knows how much longer by actually playing myself. And it was just so it's so beneficial. Like it still is. Like we just still if we have opportunity, we go over games. It's still it's amazing. And so I think there's so many plays that I can go over, so many moments, but I like due to time, I just want to hit some key ones. Okay, I want to go back to 2022 Toronto, and I'm pretty sure you know the play that I'm talking about, Socket. For the people, because okay, I want to start this off by saying we're going into this event, we have no fucking clue what to play. Okay, not like we're like ooh,
No.
have no well on the corp side anyway, no idea
Yeah.
what. I think this is like I kid you not, like my memory serves, it's like 4 or 5 days before like we're leaving to go to Worlds.
Yep.
And when I mean leaving, I just have to roll out of bed and roll down the street. But like everyone's coming to work because it was in Toronto. So, and Tuck is like, "You got any ideas?" I'm like, "Bruh, I've been playing this sports spell deck, okay, and this is how it kind of works." Anyways, basically, we called it. What do we call it? Snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like Rush Sports with like next activation command, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm kind of doing. And basically, another thing to note that I think is important that hasn't been mentioned is that like I'm not a really good like deck builder. I think I'm very good at the beginning, like with ideas or concepts that I want to bring to life, and then like also the missing pieces, right? The solutions. I think I do that very well. I always said all my ideas I brought to the doctor. So I'm like, yo, Dr. Sokka, here's the idea. Here's what we need to do. Like, this is the idea, whatever. And he'd be like, okay, I like this for this reason. I don't like this for this reason. How about we play this? How we did? And basically, 4 days later, about 5 to 7 cards were switched out for other things, and we had our world.
I think so. My memory of the the initial part of that is slightly different. I remember it was the week before, and we were just like, we're talking about what decks to play, and I remember that it was PD that we were initially talking about. We were like, we got to beat Boat. We're gonna put next activation command into PD, and we're gonna try to build the next activation command PD, and then that was like the plan. And then at the we were about to end the call, and you said, "I'll try doing that in sports and just like see how that works." And then I was like, huh, like I think that actually, like I think there might actually be something there. So then we didn't even try PD, and then it was like right then and there we were like, all right, like let's talk about what this would look like in sports. And then we I think you may, yeah, like I don't remember, like I guess you may have already had a list together for that, and then we worked from there. But originally it was going to be PD.
That makes sense. And I was probably like, let me play sports because I'm a terrible I was a terrible player. And I was like, yo, sports. Yeah, let's do that. But like, no, but really the idea and the concept was very good just because I think one of the big things we liked was that we could, like when times were tough, we had that draw and we had the ability to fast advance out and things like that, like that we liked. And yeah, we had to beat Boat. So that year we get there and like Yeah, remember looking at the breakdown and you're like, ooh, 25% sports or something like that. And you didn't put clot in your shaper deck.
Yeah,
You were all
I cut it as we lined up. We were lining up to submit our decks, and I was in the line going like I feel like I really want to cut this clot. I want to cut this clot for Deuces Wild, and I don't remember the other card now. But I was like, I really want to cut this clot. Do I do it? Do I do it? Do I do it? Do I do it? And I was like, oh, I was right there. I was right at the front of the line. And I was like, all right, we're gonna cut this clot. So I cut the clot, and I was of course like the one of the last people to submit my deck list because I was like really thinking about this. And then I cut the clot, and then like after submitting my deck list, like 2 minutes later, the ID breakdown gets released, and it was 25% sports metal. And I was like, "Oh no!" But it was okay. You just gotta win. Just win anyways. Just win
just
anyways.
just
Yeah,
touch Gendies is what
That's
he
right.
did.
Like
easy as.
it was 25% sports metal. I paired against sports metal in my first 2 rounds, and we got it done.
Mm,
You versus Scry, you're playing sports against Boat Freedom.
Boat Freedom.
Okay.
The go-to deck.
And you need to make a play. Okay. Do you remember this? Do you remember what happened?
Oh, of course I do.
Okay. Because you're like, some of these things that are, I'm like, you better remember this. Because
No,
I want you to talk your way through this one. Because this was like, I want people to know, okay?
Mhm.
Netrunner is like people are excited about it. People are happy, people are like, oh, that was a good play, that you did a good thing here, or whatever. But like
Mm.
this play had people reacting like they were at a sporting event. Okay, like when you made grown people go, oh, it was like someone truly got dunked on. It was incredible. Um, it was amazing. So please tell the people what you did.
I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't maybe it was like I guess like explaining it we maybe won't do it as much justice because
Mhm.
I'm kind of running through what I'm about to say in my head, and I'm like, it doesn't sound like it sounds cool. So I had a Fairchild 3. Fairchild 3 is a big old HB piece of ice where you can spend 3 clicks to break all 3 subroutines on it. And I
Mhm.
had that, and it's really hard to break with your icebreaker, so it's really annoying. And I had the Fairchild 3 in front of this remote, a spin doctor in there. And I was basically like on Scry's, this was in grand finals, right? You can find the stream on this and watch this happen.
Mhm.
But it was in grand finals, and I watched Scry draw a bunch of cards. Like his last turn was, I think, like draw, moshing, draw a bunch of cards. And he finds a hippo. And hippo's the 2-cost Anarch hardware that says when you break the first time each turn you break all the subroutines on an outermost piece of ice, you can remove hippo from the game to trash that ice.
Mhm.
So for me to protect this, so what's gonna happen next turn is he's gonna run the remote. He's gonna spend 3 clicks clicking through the Fairchild 3, and he's gonna use the hippo to trash the Fairchild 3. And it was like a really big moment because my deck is playing next activation command and it's playing seamless launches. I do need to score some agendas off the board, and I didn't have any agendas scored yet. So I was like, I have to keep this Fairchild 3 alive. So at the start of my turn, I go mandatory draw, and then I go res the spin doctor, draw 2 more cards, and I didn't find a piece of ice because all I needed to do was find any ice to install on top of the Fairchild 3 so that it protects it from
Yeah.
the hippo. I couldn't find a piece of ice. So I mean, I was like, the thing is, in my mind, like I didn't have a like I just had to figure out like what can I do? I can it's one of those moments where thinking ahead is just very, very, very important. And I'm thinking ahead and I'm going, okay, if I do nothing this turn, if I just like play on as if there's nothing special going on, then he's gonna come and trash this Fairchild 3, and I'm gonna lose the game because I'm not gonna be able to score agendas off the board. I could click to draw, and if I click to draw and I don't find ice, now I'm gonna be severely over hand size, and I'm gonna have to discard cards. We're still gonna lose the Fairchild, and I'm definitely gonna lose. So do I play the odds of drawing for a piece of ice? And I decide not to. So what I did was I was like, so in my head, I was like, the plan is I'm going to install something behind the Fairchild 3 so that he's going to run the Fairchild. He's going to spend 3 clicks clicking through the Fairchild, trashing the Fairchild and trashing the card behind it. And then in 2 other naked remotes, I'm going to install a Rashida and I'm going to install a Vitruvius. Um, and in my hand, I have 2 seamless launches. So not only am I going to be scoring the Vitruvius, I'm going to be using double seamless launch and getting 2 Vitruvius counters, which is huge because instead of like I'm basically turning this like my deck relies on scoring off the board, but if I can score a Vitruvius with 2 counters, now I can rotate the game plan into fully fast advance. So that was the plan. And I remember I was like, and in my head, I was like, okay, we got to do this quickly because if I need to pop the spin doctor, pick 2 cards, shuffle them back in, shuffle quickly, offer the cut, and install these 3 cards because the longer I take to think about it, the longer he's going to have to decide not to hippo the Fairchild. Because it was very clear when he installed the hippo that the plan was going to be to trash the Fairchild. And the more time I give him to think, he might not do that. So we go pop the spin doctor, shuffle stuff back in, and we get those 3 cards on the board, and he goes and hippos the. I remember he thought about it a little bit, and you can kind of see this on the stream where he thinks of, maybe for a couple seconds, and then he kind of shrugs his arms and goes, "All right, we're doing this thing that I plan to do." And so he goes and hippos the Fairchild, goes and trashes the Tranquility Home Grid, which was there just as a random bait card, just so that the run was justifiable. And then we go fire Rashida, and then double seamless advance score, and we get the 2 Vitruvius counters. And I was so excited that I was in a position of severe weakness, and now I'm in a position of very clear strength. I was so excited about that I missed the sports medal trigger when I scored the Vitruvius.
It was such a hot play that you missed the sports medal trigger. Oh my god!
It was a big deal because the rest of the game was very I was super poor. I'm spending clicks, gaining money, everything, money is super tight. And if I had $2 extra that game, it would have been very different. But we had just enough to get us over the finish line in the end.
I think the play was amazing because it was just thinking about all of these things in real time in the biggest game you've ever played. You haven't won Worlds yet, right? You're so close, okay? And the other part about it is you're under duress, right? So far, this game is not going well for you. We are facing annihilation if this play does not work out and or we didn't take this line, we didn't get the ice, the Fairchild gets blown up, it's really bad. It's really, really bad. And just the ability to be this is how I'm gonna get out of it and to think about it in a reasonable amount of time that doesn't look suspicious for what you're about to do. But every time I play Sokka, it's there is the regular lines, but then there's also the non-regular that you have to be careful of. He's always plotting. He's always ready for if this play doesn't happen, or if I don't get this card, this is what I'm going to do, or if I do get this thing, this is what I'm going to do. And it's just, again, in real time, it's always just amazing to watch. And that's why that play was I remember being on Discord with everyone, and everyone's oh! And I'm and I'm there, and I'm listening to them in the Discord, so I don't have the stream. They're the ones narrating things to me. I'm guys, what happened? Yeah, sorry, Brandon. And then they explained to me what happened, and I was it was excellent. It was wow, because also from someone who obviously time into that deck and played the deck and whatnot, I know what the Vitruvius counters mean. I know that went from a terrible situation to the best thing that could ever happen. It was, oh my god, I'm man, I knew then that to go where I wanted to go in Netrunner, I had to get better because I knew truly in my mind You give me that like hand 100 times, and I would not have thought of that line. I would not have thought to do that. And I was like, ooh, we we need some more work. That was a big moment for me as well. We need some more work. Like
This is
yeah, damn.
this is a good like this game is a good illustration of why Netrunner is so complex because there's so many different things you can do. There's so many different things you can do on your turn.
Mm.
And there are so many lines you can take that seem good that are not the best line. One thing that something else that happened in that game, and I don't know how clearly you can see my hand on stream. There's a 1 of bifurcation in my deck. There's a 1 bifurcation in the deck. That's the 2/1 HB agenda. And
Mhm.
I can score that by going install advance, score, and then I get a sports medal trigger where I get $2 or 2 cards. And a lot of people, when they played sports metal back in the day, they see this bifurcation, they score the bifurcation.
Yeah.
And in that, and because it's like you spend 3 clicks, you score it, you get the money back. And in that game, one other thing that happened in that game was the bifurcation was in hand for probably 4 turns before I scored it.
Mhm.
Because I was not like I knew that I was not in a position to spend 3 clicks scoring this 1 point because the goal of the game is to get to 7. And
Mm.
scoring this 1 point and spending a turn now is actually going to lose me the game because I have to spend my time like I was in a position at that time where I didn't have the Vitruvius counters yet, so I have to play for this remote. For me to get to 7, I have to score some agendas off the board. I
Yeah.
can't just rely on fast advancing. I delayed that bifurcation score 4 turns, I want to say. And in that time, Scry was making runs on HQ here and there. And the accesses were dodged, and it was like a very important that's a very important 1 point because it's the only bifurcation. I'm not going to find a different one if I lose it. But I just knew that like if I score it now, I'm going to lose too much tempo. And then that situation with the Fairchild and the installing 3 cards on the board wouldn't have even came up because I would have spent a turn earlier just getting this point.
Mm.
Yeah, like I feel like that game in those it really highlights how complex the game can be, and there's so many decisions that you can make, some of which seem like they're good. And it's really like unless you like this is kind of where like people ask about like what's the best way to get better, and you can like give them tips about certain things like don't build your own decks until like way later. Focus on playing like the same corp and the same runner and just get good at that before you like try to explore too much. Like there's all those tips which are all very useful,
Mhm.
but like really the fastest way to get better is to have a coach. Like is to actually like have somebody who you play with who is really good at the game, who is able to identify things that you could do differently and kind of talk through the impacts of the different decisions that
Mhm.
you've made because without that other person there like being able to identify those things like it's very very easy for you to play Netrunner and you actually have no idea where things are going wrong.
100%. Also, just like having to explain your lines often makes you think about the lines way more, and like you
Yeah.
actually understand what you're doing more, which is another important aspect. I feel
Yeah.
like.
And this was something that I was planning to talk about is like my experience of like how I got to where I am is like very like it took a long time, right? Like I started in 2014, but I feel like my path was all very natural and like it was just like I was just a kid exploring the game. I didn't like you see a lot of conversation in community spaces like in GLC and in lots of other places where it's like give me like how do I get better? How do I become a competitive player?
Mm.
Like how do I improve at this? How do I improve at that? And that doing it that way is certainly like a way to fast track things, right? So that you know what to focus on. You're like playing very intentionally. But like my experience was actually like not that. It was not like most of my time was not through like intentional deliberate training. Like it was all just all of my fundamentals built over like 5 or 6 years of playing locally
Mhm.
and just like playing random cards that I kind of happened to see one day. Like there's very little like intentional like competitive training
Yeah.
and like focus on competitive play until like well into the last 5 years.
I think when we think about um, like getting better, right? We think of newer players or like players who are like, oh, I'm doing this locally, but I want to get better competitively or improve my play competitively, that sort of thing. But this actually applies to anyone, even though you may look at your favorite player, whatever. It's like, yeah, they're really good, or like, they're still doing these things that help them to get better at the game, right? So when we
Mhm.
talk about like Sokka and I do reviews, right? Sokka, I think one like clear review that I remember off the top of my head was you were playing Continentals and you were playing that was the Drago Continentals.
Yep.
Mm.
And and unfortunately you got re-education neurospiked,
Yep.
right? And we went over it, and I was like, "No, you actually could have ran and survived harder and used the next turn." Like that was the thing that you were like scared of happening to you, that you wouldn't be able to survive that. And we're like, "Oh, like actually, you had a perfect line to just do this and be able to survive it. You would steal it, and if you did that, you would also know what was going on,
Mhm.
and like you probably would have went on to definitely win that game because the boat lad deck was stupid broken." And and it's interesting because you would think like, oh yeah, like Sokka, he's really good. He doesn't miss things, you know. It's like I think White Blade always has this expression,
Mm.
or he always says this like Sokka bleeds just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And so we and basically to say is that like we all miss things. Now is Sokka like probably one of the most consistent Netrunner players I've ever seen? Yes. Okay, but it doesn't mean he doesn't miss things, right? And so we like to get better. Getting better is like having these good habits,
Mhm.
right? And learning good habits from people around you on the game. And even when you get better, you still have those habits ingrained and you still use them.
Yeah. And you see me like sometimes when I stream, like I'll catch myself making mistakes. Like I mean I mean like if for those of you who watched my shorts, my YouTube shorts for 2025 Worlds in Edinburgh, like
Mhm.
most of those shorts is me being like, oh my God, like I'm making like at the end of games, like I'm realizing that I'm making mistakes here and there, and I'm like really kicking myself because that's like the tournament. Like that's the tournament where I can't afford to be making these mistakes. But even when I'm streaming, like I'll sometimes get comments in videos and stuff where it's like, hey,
Mm.
here's something that I noticed that you could have done differently, and I feel like it's better. And like I was talking at the start of this that like I'm not very good at streaming consistently now, but the times that I do, like if you put a comment on my YouTube videos, like I will see them eventually. Like it might take me a week or something because I don't check them very often, but like I do check them.
Mhm.
And if I see it, I will respond. And there's been a couple times where like, somebody points something out and I'm like, yeah, you're totally right. Like I totally missed
Mm. Yeah.
that and I definitely should have done something different there.
Yes. So I think, you know, winning worlds the first time, like, I mean I'll let you tell it, but like I assume just an amazing feeling, right? But to do
It
it
was
again,
it was surprising because I was, I just started law school. We had just come up with this corp deck the week before. We were like meeting up
Mm.
in the basement of the hotel on Friday night after the team tournament to test this corp deck. And we were meeting up, like me and Alexi and you. We're like, all right, we're gonna come and play down here. And I was kind of looking around and being like, okay, like make sure nobody else is seeing what we're doing. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, like it was totally unexpected. Like I feel like that tournament, I showed up with like hoping that I would do well, but not really expecting too much out of it. Whereas like, yeah, like in 2023, like I there was a ton more like I was feeling a lot more expectation of myself to do well in 2023. And I remember having a conversation with Talassen about this, like who was there judging, and I was like, yeah, like I feel a lot of pressure, like I've put a lot of pressure on myself to do well. And I've been feeling it. And he was like, yeah, like it's definitely something that is very real. And that was part of the reason why he stopped playing competitively, and he would like play casually. He would show up to judge events. He's there to hang out with friends, and he still wanted to show up, but he kind of stopped taking the game in a from a super competitive view because of those pressures that he was feeling as well at the time. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, 2023 was kind of the same thing in terms of the corp. Like, no idea what to play corp side. Like deck building week before, and this time it was good old Peter H who came through with some Wayland Glacier, and then that you know kind of became kind of the BTL kind of stuck for me.
Yep. You can't think of BTL without thinking of Sokka now, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
I guess a question I have, because you brought up, feeling pressure. Do you still feel that same pressure now that you did back then?
No, I don't. Because I I felt by far the most pressure in 2023. Um, I think in 2024 and in 25, I've kind of come more towards the view, and this is like definitely a much more healthier view, and is definitely a view that I would advocate for others to think about. Is do your prep, um, do your prep, and well, I mean, I kind of was like this already in 2023, but what I had in mind was like do your prep, prepare for the tournament, prepare as well as you can. Um, but then like on the day of, you play well, but like a lot of things are out of your control. Like the
Yeah.
matchup, the pairings, what decks actually show up. Like things can show up that you had no idea, like there's no way you could have found out about it. Like you could prepare for the most common matchup, and then like maybe that's the most common deck, but you're not going to play against it at all. Um, like that stuff is going to happen. So prepare, do as best as you can in terms of preparation. And I think like in my mind, like that's where most of the pressure is in that preparation. Um, I think in 2024, for me personally, in 2024, I felt less pressure because um because of two factors. I mean, like one factor is because Fa was around, um, and we were like prepping together, and I was like part of a big part of the trip was being able to spend time with her, and like it was in San Francisco where her aunt was, so we had like a like an apartment there that we were in, so that helped a lot. And the other thing that was unique about 2024 was I kind of had BTL in my back pocket for most of that competitive season. During 2024's competitive season, what was like the main corp deck? What did I play? Oh, I played Egg Infusion.
Yeah, makes sense.
I played
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I played Egg Infusion in 2024, and I won 3 nationals in 2024, um, playing Egg Infusion. And I like I brought it to NANPC Vancouver. It did well. I finished 3rd that tournament, and then I was like, this deck is doing well. It's already out there. There's no reason to change. And I think during the pretty much the start of the season, Logjam had just come out, and I was like, this card is good. Like it solves some problems in BTL. Because it's got 3 and run subroutines, so you can't boomerang through it the same way you can boomerang through a Pharaohs.
True.
So that was like I was kind of working on BTL in the background for most of the competitive season. And there was just no need for me to bring this out, because in my mind I was like, okay, like I'm gonna play this at Worlds, and I kind of like had my corp deck locked in probably like 2 3 months, like probably like 3 months before Worlds. Like I think in July, like I knew I was gonna be playing BTL at Worlds unless something crazy happened. So there was not the same corp pressure at all. Like there was not the same corp pressure at all. And then in 2025, there was also like there was the corp scramble. I kind of had faith in like, we showed up in 2025 a week ahead of time with a couple of decent corp candidates. And we were like gonna test this restoring humanity, but like I had faith that like with me and you and Peter and Rustrider and Bridgman, like we're in this Airbnb together and like we're gonna be like priority number one is find a corp deck. And I had faith that we were gonna do that. So I wasn't too worried. And then like for my runner side, like everything was pretty straightforward for me. Because trickshot Anacam lat in 2014 or 2024, and then basically Anacam lat again in 2025 was like decks that I'm comfortable with, has a lot of strong matchups. Like I didn't have to think too much about that one.
Yeah, makes sense.
So yeah, that definitely alleviated most of the pressure. But who knows? Maybe I'll feel it again in 2026.
Yeah, I feel like I've come a long way in that area. Even this year, just like at Worlds, just starting out as poorly as I did, just being able to step back, have some lunch, take a deep breath, breathe through it, and then go back to playing. And variance is interesting because, like in the card games, because you could feel like, okay, I won my first 4 games and then I lost a game and then I won my next 3 and then I lost a game and then I won a couple more and I lost, and you feel like, okay, like I did pretty well. Like I won the majority of my games and like that sort of thing kind of happened. But like sometimes, your first few matchups are the hardest matchups you're going to have all day. Sometimes that happens, right? And it's sometimes not easy to look at it that way, but that's kind of what happened. And then I was just like, okay, let's play. And we just play. And I know even 18 months ago, I would have tilted off the face of this earth. Like I would have been a shell. I probably would have dropped like all this stuff, And there's pressure. It's like when your opponents are sitting down across from you, it's like, oh my God, the king, love your podcast. You're a legend. You're a celebrity. Da da da. And then they're like smacking you up. It's like, holy, you know what I mean? It's a lot. I was so happy that I was able to tune it all out, and really just continue focusing on playing the games that were in front of me. And even though I didn't have the result I had last year, I felt like I'm a better netrunner player this year for like the growth that I made throughout the year in especially in this area. Yeah. And I'm curious to see, how it goes next year. But like it was so hard to accept that you were gonna lose games. People lose games. That's what happens. I hate losing. But it was just like how you deal with the loss, especially if it's tilting, especially if you miss plays, because there's more games to be played, and like sometimes my games go to time, and it's like, whoop, like there's no time to, you just gotta get right back on the horse and play again. So refocusing is a huge thing, not only even game to game, but like turn to turn. It's very key.
I do this a lot, and that's something that I do need to do better at is when I make a mistake live in a game, I make a mistake and I realize that right away, I will dwell on that, and it's like not the time. You just have to take the situation that's in front of you, and you got to continue performing. And there is a time to think about that mistake, but it's not now.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
Yeah, you just come.
You get to think about it after the game while you try to sleep for the next
Yeah.
year.
Next year, yeah. Is there anything like so far like we haven't covered that you thought may have been covered? I know you still have to tell the story. But anything besides that covered?
No, I mean, it's actually something that would segue into it. There's I feel like over the last couple years, like as I've been like when NSG was first created, right?
Yeah.
I could have obviously they were like, we need playtesters, we need like people to be in the organization and stuff like that. And like the people who are doing that are amazing. That like they're the ones who keep the game running. But like I was just like never in a position to kind of contribute because like I had a very busy life. And also I felt like I wanted to keep competing and it would hinder my ability to compete because like I would be involved in like being involved in playtesting and means that I get to know like all the other cards that are going to come out or cards that are being playtested and are not going to come out. Those are things that are all just going to like mess with my head a little bit because one thing I think that I'm really good at is like knowing what cards exist and knowing what the card text of all like a bunch of different what like 99% of the cards are. And I just knew that like if I joined playtesting and I knew like all these different card texts that are being tested, like I would just get confused. And I didn't want to do that for that reason. But as because I was like winning certain tournaments that kind of got you card designs, that was something that I ended up having to become involved in is like just like thinking about how to design a card and thinking about what cards I want and stuff like that, which kind of got me into some more designing, thinking about what kind of cards that I want and like how to balance certain cards, which is just like something that I don't usually think about. So that kind of got into our conversations with Safer, and Safer is somebody who's very involved in the playtesting and design and development process. Yeah, lots of I feel like if it weren't for that, like I wouldn't know that Safer exists. And there's just like there's so many like people there's so and I'm sure there's like other people too who like do so much for the community and do like a lot of like hard work that is integral to the community this function that don't get enough recognition. Yeah. So I got to meet him for the first time in Montreal Continentals this year, I guess this year. Did an interview with him on stream, and then we went to a very world-renowned restaurant in the evening.
Go on.
World-renowned, huh?
Yes, a world-renowned restaurant. They're known for
Good customer service.
they're known for yeah,
What are they known
exactly.
for, Sokka?
They're known for their recognizable and universally appreciated customer service. And so we were looking for a place to go, right? The tournament had ended. What was this? This was Friday night, or was it Saturday night? I feel like it was Saturday night.
Yeah.
Saturday night, we finished the Swiss portion of the tournament. The cut is tomorrow, and we're like, we got to find some place to get some food. We need to get place that gets food, place that sells drinks, and a place with space because
Yeah.
because we were in Montreal. There was like all these like small bars. They were loud, like they got a tons of people, and it's just hard to find a place that can seat a lot of people. So we're trying to find a place to go. And I don't remember who it was that was looking on a map. It might have been me, who was like, I was looking on a map and was like, hey, there's this place. People may or may not know of it, known as Hooters. and we're like, they have good food, they have good drinks, and that is the only reason why anybody would go there, and that's what we're looking for. So
Oh yeah.
So I was like, let's go to Hooters. And some people are laughing. because they're not interested in good food and good drinks. And some other people are, you know, they're hanging out. We're in the hotel lobby, right? We're in the
Mhm.
hotel lobby. There's guests that are like we're this was in like Montreal in a hotel, but we had walked out of the Netrunner area. We were in the lobby of the hotel, at the top of this like spiral staircase. But it was a very open concept like lobby, and
Yeah.
there's people like and what it was like, you know, 8 p.m. Right? So there were like guests downstairs. They were checking in. Um, there were guests checking in downstairs and all that stuff, like a typical busy hotel lobby. And I'm like, okay, like let's, do other people have ideas like where we want to go? And people are pitching other ideas, and we're like, okay, well, that one doesn't seem like it has space, or maybe it doesn't have the type of food that we're looking for, or what have you. Um, and but there were people who were just like, they didn't want to go to Hooters, and I'm like, and I personally was like, I don't, this seems like what we're looking for to me. Um, and 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 I knew that there was somebody who I could trust who would be on my side, and that's of course is Brandon, who was like, we gotta, like, yeah, let's go to Hooters, and people are like, I don't know if I want to go to Hooters, like I don't know if that's the place.
They were
Um,
cringing away from the idea.
they were cringing away. Um,
For some
and
reason,
Brandon
yeah.
in the lobby of the hotel, was like, people are saying no, and he's like, and he says, "What are we doing here if we're saying no to titties?"
Yeah, man.
Um,
I was like, bruh, what are we doing? We're like, if we're not gonna go for titties, what are we doing? Like, people just don't like titties anymore. And I was just walking around like, and listen, no one told me that we left the Netrunner area. Okay, that's my excuse. and, and and oh, I thought people were cringing away from the Hooters thing before people started fleeing. Like, they started hightailing it out of there. They're like, no, I don't want to be seen with him. No. I still stand by what I said wholeheartedly. So then me and Sokka left, and we found Safer and Knack, and
oh yeah, that was
and
this. So okay, hang on. Here's the thing: we
Mm.
that whole thing happened, but people
Mhm.
still wanted to go elsewhere, unbeknownst to me and Brandon, as to why. Um, And so the plan was, like, they wanted to go to this other place. I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't as exciting as, um, you know, the place that we were going to go to. Um, it's just not as exciting. It's not as exciting. I don't know what else to say.
you're
Yeah, yeah.
not wrong.
Makes sense.
That's right.
Not wrong.
Brandon and I wanted to go to a place that was more exciting. So we so we were, and we literally, we walked out of the hotel and we were going two different directions. Everybody else was going in a certain direction. I don't remember which direction it was. And Brandon and I were gonna go to Hooters on our own. We were like, we're gonna go. This is the place. So we are walking there to Hooters on our own, just the two of us, and we walk into, who do we find, Brandon?
We found Safer. We found Knack, and I feel very bad. Third person. Oh my god.
This is why I'm relying on your memory, because
I
I don't
know.
know.
I think they're from New York. Was it?
Cold lava?
Sorry.
Cold lava?
Say again?
No, it wasn't a tiebreaker.
Also, cold lava lives from New
But
Jersey. But yeah.
they were all from the same area.
Mhm.
And we were like, hey, like, where are you guys going? And they're like, I don't know, like, we're gonna go and like find food or somewhere, but they didn't really know where they were going. And we were like, we're on our way to Hooters, come join us. And you know, they give their little laugh, and then they're like, "Yeah, let's do it."
A
So
little
that's what
chuckle,
happened. Exactly.
and then we made our moves. Man, that night was fun. That was a
It
good
was
time.
very good. Very, very good. Because we had good conversations, of course, and nothing else.
Correct.
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 We also got some gold foil Pokemon cards.
Randomly, yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
The owner, I think it was the owner of the store. The owner of the store was like, "There's this guy who comes, and I don't remember there's this guy who comes sometimes, and they're like very involved in Pokemon, and they left these like gold foil Pokemon cards for us to like hand out to some people sometimes. So we all got a gold foil Pokemon card
The owner of the Hooters or what store?
at the Hooters.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
at the Hooters.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hype. It was super hype.
Okay, that seems hype. Good food and gold foil Pokemon cards.
A lot of stuff at the Hooters.
Oh my god. But yeah, that's the story from the Sokka's perspective that I've been teasing all summer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But all summer I've been teasing it. Like, when are you gonna tell the story? I'm like, I'm not gonna tell it. Don't worry. When I get yo, short court this one.
But yeah, that was in the hotel lobby. People walking in and out. People who have no idea what's going on, and Brandon's just there screaming like it was not like it's like we're imagining like you're at a Netrunner event and everybody's talking, and the person who like yells at the top of their lungs to get everybody's attention.
Yeah.
That was Brandon when he was describing
I can hear it with my own
surprise.
like ears right now. Like this asshole can be really loud sometimes.
Listen.
Also, wasn't it like a hella bougie like hotel?
I just wanted titties to be respected, okay?
Sure.
That's all.
But wasn't the hotel like hella bougie?
Probably.
It like was hella much to like actually stay at the hotel. So like imagine you're like a hella rich businessman and then there's some asshole yelling about going to Hooters right next to you.
They were probably going there too. Well, or maybe a bougie version of that establishment. They were up there too. Don't act like it's just me, man. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. You know what was going on.
They were on their way there too.
We had the most fun that night, hands down, like no questions asked.
We what? Sorry.
We had the most fun that night out of everybody.
Oh yeah.
With that said, it's funny because it's funny that this podcast is coming up, and I was thinking about it, but it was Friday. I was at a Hooters. I was like reliving the whole thing because there was a birthday that I had to go to.
Who the fuck organized their birthdays at Hooters? Like, what the fuck?
No. You have to listen to the story. They weren't at Hooters, okay? They're having their birthday, and they were like, okay, I'm going to give you all the details. I'm going to give you all the details to, obviously like attend or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Let me know if you can come. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. I'm like, yeah, I'll be there, da. And then like when I like, when you get something and you're like, okay, it's there for me to look at when I need to look at it, okay? So as the time's coming up to like days coming up to like go, I look at it and it's like, it's only the address, right?
Yeah.
So then you have to look and see what that is the address of. And it's actually like, I guess it's normally like either a photography or like dance studio or something that like they rent it out or whatever.
Yeah.
And because when they were like, yeah, come to the party, it was like there's gonna be dancing, karaoke, drink, da. And I'm like, oh, okay, this sounds like an establishment that we're going to, and there's gonna be food.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I found out it's I'm like, oh, there's not actually gonna be food, but now it's kind of late. So basically, I got there and I was looking at Uber Eats, and I'm like, ooh, I don't really know any of these places in the area, so I don't even know what's good. But I do know there's a Hooters next door.
And then Brandon got excited.
I went next door.
Mm-hmm.
It was Friday. Fish and chips was on special for $11.99. Busted. And then me, I had to eat some more. So I got some quesadillas, chicken quesadillas.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a drink. I was feeling good. And then I went back to the party. Oh, and also the person who, man, this is like also wild. The person who was like, yeah, I'll come with you, da da da. So comes with me, and I'm talking to them, and I was talking about like, yeah, so I like played this game, Netrunner, that like I travel for. He's like, Netrunner? You mean like Android Netrunner? I'm like, what? You know Netrunner? Oh, he's like, yeah, me and my friend, we used to play, da 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 da. He's like, they still make cards? I thought the game died. He's like, no, it's still alive. Bro, you got to come to the meetup. We have meetups. We have like a full online client. We're like, NSG is super self-sufficient. Like it's a whole thing. Like just explaining all that to and like, yeah, and like gave him the description and then we talked about I guess he plays like a lot of just different games. And I was talking about like Twilight Imperium. And I gave him the Discord, like for async, and it was so cool. And I'm like, man, this all just like wrapped up into a nice like just bow that it was like Netrunner and Hooters all over again. It was wild.
I want to give a little bit of a shout out to like this current time. I mean, it is December already, but I do have a coaching session that is scheduled now-ish. So that's why this has come up. Like time is should
Yeah.
wrap up. But the the time for coaching, like I do, I do coaching. I have people from all over the world really who have reached out. Uh, there are some difficulties with time zone scheduling now that I'm working like during the day on weekdays because before I was in law school, so like my schedule is way more flexible. But nowadays like it's much harder for me to schedule sessions with people who are not in North America. Um, but like the time for like at least for me, like as somebody who offers coaching, the time after Worlds is the best time because it is a time where I am usually more free because I played less Netrunner in the time after Worlds. Once like the competitive season kind of ramps up and you start having like mega cities and continentals and leading up into Worlds, like I'm always like doing testing and playing with people to figure out decks and stuff like that. I'm naturally a lot more busy. But this time of year is like a great time if you're interested in coaching. That's something that I do continue to do despite my streams not being as consistent as they have been in the past.
Well, that's one thing to shout out. Holler at Sokka for that coaching.
Yeah, and it's something that I have. I'm very flexible in like structure in terms of how it's done. Like I will let you know what I've done in the past and what I think works. But something that's out there.
When you can stream, what's the name of the stream? Plug the stream.
Oh, I mean, it's on YouTube and on Twitch at Sokka234. I'd suggest using YouTube, because on YouTube I'll actually like timestamp sections of videos and you can actually have like a notification as to when I'm coming on. And I'll also like schedule my streams as well as I can. Sometimes that's the day before, maybe that's like 2 days before, but it's still kind of there. And of course, all of the videos get saved on YouTube, so you can watch past streams on YouTube, which is something you can't do on Twitch. So yeah, YouTube, Sokka234, try to talk through everything. I stream everything that I do in terms of online tournaments. So if I ever plan an online tournament, you can expect that I'll stream it. Otherwise, like my streaming outside of that has not really been going on lately. There was a time when I streamed once a week, but I think like Andre talked about this, and Andre has continued to be able to do this. Where Andre was talking about like how when he streams, like people want to see things that are different and things that are you got to explore the card pool kind of thing. Yeah, I mean like I just find like there's a lot going on in terms of my work and my time and streaming, like especially because like it is like a whole lot of talking that like it can get tiring sometimes. So naturally like I feel like I feel like I really want to get content out there. So which is why like streaming tournaments and streaming things that I am playing in is kind of helps me along a little bit more rather than just like streaming on my own without an event. Yeah, but yeah, that's out there. There's content there. I'll also post shorts whenever I go out to some events, especially Worlds. So you'll see on YouTube Shorts, you'll see some videos of me just kind of talking through what happened each round and talking about my experience at Worlds.
Very good. Well, thank you, Sokka, so much for doing this. You got to get to coaching. We got to get Axie to bed. Sleepy boy. And please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And
yes, I want to know who noticed that that I was playing Siege in the video with Andre.
Yes, please get that Siege up. Also, quick note: I know there was. I don't know if this was a joke, and maybe Axel, you can let me know more. But people wanted me to talk about me as an athlete on like.
Oh
yes.
Yeah, it was in the Discord.
I want to hear about that.
Okay, so maybe that could be a bonus streams thing or like Q&A sort of thing maybe at some point. I'll see what I can do if people are interested. Let us know, comment section, all that stuff, or DM if that's something you're interested in.
For sure.
But we outie.
We outie.
Alrighty. Thanks for having me on.